The lights are on, the field is dry for the time being, and the stage is set for evening edition here of Harwich Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Hello, everybody. I'm Tyler Henry, joined today by Colin Casey, and we have got a good one on tap here. A rematch of the 2019 CCBL Championship Series between the Harwich Mariners and the Katuitt Kettleers. And Colin, obviously, while that is a big storyline, an awful lot of turnover across the CCBL throughout the course of the last couple of seasons. Not a lot of familiar faces from those two rosters, but still two teams that may feel, even organizationally, like they have a bit of a score to settle here in these next couple of games.
Well, the two things that are still the same are the managers, as of course you got Mike Roberts on the Katuitt side, Steve Englert for Harwich. They both remember that series all too well. And for Katuitt, you know, they're the Yankees of the Cape Cod Baseball League, for better or for worse. I mean, they have the most titles, and every single year they're a competitive team. This year is no different. Harwich looking to exact some revenge. Remember the last time these two teams played, specifically at White House Field? It was a 15-inning affair and one of the greatest games the Cape League has ever seen. I'm excited for what we're in store for tonight.
Absolutely. One of the greatest games the Cape League has seen. Certainly the greatest game that I think I've had the opportunity to call, and you and I were right here 2 seasons ago to witness that. Of course, while there's a lot of turnover from 2019 to 2021, there's also a lot of turnover just within this very year. Of course, 2 of Harwich's best starters in Nick Sinicola and Evan Schaber no longer with the team, and Andrew Mosiello from Oregon, who will be taking the bump today, trying to fill some of those shoes as Harwich still tries to figure out the rotation early on in the season.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity for some of these guys to step up, I should say. Andrew Mosiello, no different. Had a solid first start, looking to build on it and pick up a big victory, which would be the first win for Harwich in what would now be 4 games.
Yep, absolutely. First pitch from Mosiello is swung on and taken high in the air, drifting back towards the Harwich Mariners dugout, and that one will run out of room. That'll give us an opportunity here to set the lineup here for the Katuitt Kettleers. Leading things off and swinging at that first pitch is third baseman Colt Cummings. He will be followed in the lineup by first baseman Brooks Baldwin, second baseman Luke Gold, designated hitter R.J. Schreck in the cleanup spot today. Batting fifth and playing center field John Rhodes, followed by right fielder River Town, catcher Ben Rice, left fielder Andrew Garriola, and shortstop Ryan Ritter. Andrew Mosiello, the Oregon Duck, fires the next pitch, and this one is in there for a called strike. Mosiello out ahead here, 0-2.
Cummings coming in at 375 batting average, 12 of 32 on the young season, so no surprise to see him in that leadoff spot.
Mosiello's 0-2. This will miss up and in, trying to brush him off the plate a bit, perhaps, as the count now goes to 1-2. The Harwich Mariners today on Red Shirt Friday, wearing the red jerseys with the cream pants, red socks, and the camo hats, as this pitch will miss in the dirt, make it a 2-2 count here. Katuitt comes out in their classic pinstripe pants, maroon jerseys, black numerals trimmed in white. So 2-2, Mosiello looking for a quick out here to get the M started. From the windup, the righty kicks and deals, and that'll come inside, just about hits Cummings, who Colin has now worked his way back into a full count.
Certainly has, and it's another leadoff hitter out of UC Santa Barbara, just like his UC Santa Barbara teammate Jordan Sprinkle, who most recently just left the Orleans Firebirds.
Payoff pitch, swung on and fouled back to the screen. We'll do it again, and that's something, Colin, you and I will talk about at length throughout this broadcast, but the turnover already starting to hit some of these teams, hitting some of them harder than others, but certainly affecting all 10 teams across the Cape.
Yep, and this is just the beginning. We still have the draft to worry about in about a week as well.
Here's another payoff for Mosiello. This one swung on and taken the other way, but right at Kavanaugh, Press Kavanaugh that is, out in left field, who makes the catch for out number 1. And as Brooks Baldwin steps to the plate, that'll give us a chance to set the defense that will be behind Andrew Mosiello. Calling the balls and strikes today is Aaron McKeithen. Carter Putz gets the start over at first base. Max Codier, a new addition here to the Mariners, at second. Zach Preisner at short. Brock Wilkin at third. Press Kavanaugh making the catch out in left. Ben Malgeri in center. And Jordan Beck, here in his second game in a Harwich Mariners uniform, is out in right. Mosiello rocks into the windup, brings home the first pitch. That'll miss outside, and the count starts 1-0 here on Brooks Baldwin.
Of course, the Mariners coming off that really strange game on Wednesday night in Bourne, where it was stopped 2 separate times, one for an extended period of time, the other for just about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was quite the scene at Doran Park, as this one will miss low and inside to make it a 2-0 count. Colin, if the CCBL Championship Game 1 was the best game I've ever been a part of, I think the game we just called at Bourne might have been the strangest.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, bringing you the last inning and a half of that one on Instagram Live at about 11 p.m. So we got a ball swung on and taken back to the screen here. Count goes to 2-1 on Brooks Baldwin. And of course, it was also funny because the official CCBL hopped onto the live stream and they had a question. They wanted to know why the Harwich Mariners were still playing baseball at 11:30. Of course, about a 2+ hour lightning delay followed by a brief rain delay will do that as Mosiello brings home the 2-1. That'll miss up and out. And it's a 3-1 count to Baldwin.
Yeah, and if you're the Mariners, really, it was kind of no harm done in the fact that you led 1-0. The game would have been a tie because you didn't complete that inning, and it ended up being a tie anyway, so it was a risk worth taking.
Ball 4 issued here, and the first walk of the day belongs to Brooks Baldwin, who will trot down to first base. A runner on here for the Kettleers with nobody, or correction, with 1 out in the inning. So that'll bring up Luke Gold, the second baseman for the Kettleers, standing in from the right side. Gold looking to get something going here for a Cotuit team that is really very similar to Harwich in a lot of ways this season. As Mosiello now working out of the stretch, brings home the first pitch, struggling to locate here as he brings ball 1 up. But you look at the numbers, yes, Cotuit has had a couple of really big breakout games offensively, Colin, but similar to Harwich, the run support seems to be all or nothing, and they can't seem to get the pitching and the batting to line up being good on the same days. Mosiello's 1-0 offering, this one in there for a called strike. That'll even the count.
Yeah, looking for that consistency on both ends, but like you mentioned, really good start to the season for the Bats. 274 as a team, already 9 home runs. A big part of that because of this guy at the plate, Luke Gold, who has 3 of those home runs.
And we got an interesting scouting report. Quick pickoff move over to first, not in time. We got an interesting scouting report on Gold. He is one of the most aggressive hitters in the league until he gets to a 2-strike count, and then he becomes one of the most patient hitters in the league. Yes, that is how you're supposed to do it, but Gold specifically will leave pitches that a lot of guys would try to foul off as Mosiello fires a strike back over to first, not in time. So we'll see that in action here if Mosiello can get up 1 and 2, but you'll see Luke Gold swing for the fences. And so far, Colin, as you mentioned, you look at the numbers, it's kind of worked out for him.
Yeah, no question about it. He has been one of the most dangerous hitters in the entire CCPL, and he was swinging for the fences on that last pitch.
Absolutely. May have seen the Chatham game a couple of weeks ago in which a ball was parked over the tree line by a couple of people. Well, I'd say that. I don't think he saw that game as our video, I believe, was down for that stream.
That's right.
But happy to have the video back up here for a evening game here, end of the week. Redshirt Friday. Mosiello working with a 1-2 count, brings home the pitch. And that one will miss just up and out. Count even here at 2-2. And there's that pitch just off the plate that Luke Gold will leave there and step back in again.
Gold actually coming off a hitless performance on June 30th in that 12-4 loss against Orleans.
Yep, a tough loss at the hands of the Firebirds. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Luke Gold is retired by Andrew Mosiello, the first strikeout of the day for the Oregon Duck. And it puts 2 out here in the first with R.J. Schreck due up next.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Tyler, when you have a hitter that is that patient with 2 strikes, you have to go after him, even if he is a huge threat, especially in terms of power. Mosiello did just that, challenging him with a fastball up and away, and Gold just couldn't catch up to it.
Another guy with power potential up now, and R.J. Schreck. Runner takes off. Throw down to second by McKeith, and it's a good one, but a little high. And they say he got him. How about that? The throw not necessarily in time, but coming off the bag was Brooks Baldwin, and Preisner never took his glove off of him. You can see Baldwin pleading his case at second, but the ump will walk away, and we will step away as well. After the top of the first, still a 0-0 ball game here at White House Field. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler, Henry, Colin, Casey, and Colin. This argument not over yet. Mike Roberts has been pleading his case with the umpire for probably a good 2 or 3 minutes now, as Roberts will finally walk back to the dugout. But as you mentioned to me during the break, he's got to be careful. It's only the first inning, and he's already putting himself on a bit of thin ice here with our umpiring crew.
Got to pick and choose your battles. It is the top of the first inning, and you made this, 35-minute drive down here to Harwich. Don't want to end your night too early.
Yeah, it's a long wait on the bus for 8.5 innings. So for the time being, he will stay in. Again, we don't see umpires toss coaches too often. It's a pretty rare occurrence here in the CCBL, but it does happen. As the first pitch is on the way, and let's go ahead and get you again as we've got a 0-0 ball game heading into the home half of the first inning. Here's your lineup for the Harwich Mariners today. Tatum Levens in the DH spot, leading things off as he will take a 1-0 pitch, and this one will be just high here for ball 2. He'll be followed in the lineup by shortstop Zach Preisner, third baseman Brock Wilkin, first baseman Carter Putz, and right fielder Jordan Beck. Batting sixth is center fielder Ben Malgiri, followed by left fielder Press Kavanaugh, catcher Aaron McKeithen, and second baseman Max Codier in the 9-hole, making his Harwich Mariners debut here this evening. They will face Ryan Long. We'll have more on Long here in just a moment as he gets a swing and a miss, and the count goes here to 2-1. And Colin, Ryan Long, the hurler here for Cotuit, a Kettleer team that, like everybody else on the Cape, is still trying to figure out what their rotation is going to look like heading into the rest of the 2021 season.
As time is granted to Levens, it's also a big start for Long because he's coming from a D3 school in Pomona Pitzer College. So we'll see how he stacks up against some of the best bats in all of the country.
Right now, cautiously approaching Tatum Levens, who is coming off of a really good performance in that draw against Bourne. Levens in that one, 3 for 3 to start his evening, and here he will start things off with a 5-pitch walk. The Mariners have the leadoff man aboard with nobody out for Zach Preisner.
And you wonder if it's nerves for Long or maybe the weather that's contributing to him having a little bit of trouble finding the zone. But again, Levens has been so good at getting on base. I think that's why we're seeing him in that leadoff spot. Steve Englert, not exactly going for the fastest guy up there, just the guy who can get on base and set the table for this first inning.
Always important for your leadoff man. It's, again, one of those baseball anecdotes. It sounds obvious, but finding the guys that can execute is very important. Ryan Long will check over to first base, not nearly in time to get Levens, maybe just trying to keep him close. As I mentioned, Zach Preisner is the man due up here for Harwich, and for the first time today, we'll see Ryan Long work out a stretch. Long is a 4-pitch guy. He'll try to command 3 throughout the course of the game, as he delivers a fastball in at about 92 and gets ahead of Preisner 0-1.
Yeah, Velo's been good so far. He's sitting right there at about 92. If he can just start locating it like he did on that last pitch, then he should be in good shape. Again, this Harwich Mariners lineup can be dangerous, but they have had stretches where they've been pretty inconsistent.
Again, we'll see which team can snap out of that here. Sizable lead over on first base right now. Not taking off, of course, is Levens, and another strike delivered. That'll make the count here 0-2 on Zach Preisner. Colin, let's go ahead and talk about this weather. This is not the typical game conditions that they're used to seeing. Some light rain, if you want to call it a mist almost, coming down on the players here. And for the first time all season, as we've got a little lollipop toss over to first base, the lights are on here at first pitch.
Yeah, it's been a kind of misting all day. Temperatures unseasonably cold in the low 60s, but it's good to see that we're going to hopefully get this game in. It wasn't looking too good earlier in the week, but so far so good.
0-2, big swing and a miss. Zach Preisner down on strikes, the first K of the day here for Ryan Long, and that'll bring up Brock Wilkin. That'll also give us an opportunity to set the defense here behind Long. Rice gets the start behind home plate. Baldwin at first, Gold at second, Ritter at short, and Cummings over at third. Your outfield, Garriola in left, Rhodes in center, and the wonderfully named Rivertown out in right. It's got to be one of the more unique ones that
Absolutely.
we'll see this year.
No question.
Town in right. Again, the man on the bump is Ryan Long. After a strikeout, he'll face Brock Wilkin, who's been tearing the cover off the baseball through the first week or so of the season. First pitch to him, off speed, coming in at it. How about this, Colin? 73.
Yeah, really taking a lot off. That's 20 miles an hour slower than his fastball.
I was going to say, if you're sitting on the fastball, you're going to have an awfully hard time making an adjustment here. But now that Wilkin's seen it, we'll see what he goes to. Is again, slow pickoff move over to first. More than likely just trying to keep Levens close to the bag. Didn't really look like the intention there was to actually pick him off. So Wilkin digs in again. 1 ball, no strikes the count. Ryan Long working out of the stretch. That's where he was when he got Zach Preisner in the last batter. Pitch on the way, and that is in there for strike 1. That'll even the count at 1 apiece.
Wilkin has reached base in all but 1 of the games he has played in so far this season. That lone game, his 4th, June 25th, right here against Bourne, where he went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
Of course, trying not to replicate a performance like that. Here comes the 1-1. That'll miss outside. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike.
And the most impressive thing about this, he's the youngest guy on this Harwich Mariners roster. I mean, he just turned 19 June 17th.
It doesn't feel right that we are getting to a point where we're older than most of the guys that are playing out there on the field. That seems to be the case. And obviously, it doesn't get any better year to year as the 2-1 is in there for a called strike count, even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The one advantage, though, Colin, is that you don't have to worry about Brock Wilkin taking off. He's not exactly draft eligible.
Nope, he's still got a couple of years. 2023 will be his year of being draft eligible. Of course, was eligible coming out of high school, but looking like the route to Wake Forest is paying its dividends. He has been outstanding since becoming a Demon Deacon, and it's been outstanding since becoming a Harwich Mariner as well.
Yep, and of course we've heard a lot of rumors about that park at Wake Forest, but those numbers look legit when you see him take a swing at a baseball. Trying to be protective here with a 2-2 count. Long sets, looks the runner back to first, brings the pitch home, and that will ring up Brock Wilkin. Back-to-back strikeouts. You question, Colin, if Ryan Long would be comfortable pitching to some of the big boys, and he appears to be just fine here in the early goings of this one.
Yeah, that's been one downside to Wilkin so far this season, is he has struck out at a pretty high rate. Struck out in all but 2 of his games, including, of course, that hat trick he got against Bourne. And that time just caught looking on a fastball outside. He must have been looking for an off-speed pitch. Instead, Long challenged him and won that battle.
So that'll bring up Carter Putz, the cleanup hitter here for the Harwich Mariners. And, of course, the Notre Dame teammate of Zach Preisner, who struck out before him. Takes strike 1 here to start his at-bat. I think the other big storyline coming into this, Colin, it feels like the season just getting underway, but with a 40-game season, we are past, after this game, the 1/4 mark here in 2021.
Yeah, and we're still, again, like we mentioned in the top half of the inning, still waiting for some more changes to come in terms of the roster, but these next few games are really going to kind of change and, I guess, make or break a team's season.
As a swing and a ball fouled away here, will make the count 0-2. Yeah, talking about these standings out in the East right now, everything's still pretty tight, but one of those teams gets hot, and all of a sudden the pressure is going to be on the other 4, who will eventually be trying to contend for that second playoff spot with the shrunk-down playoffs here. Only 4 teams making it instead of the traditional 8 here this season. 0-2, the count right now on Carter Putz. Again, trying to be defensive as we have what feels like, Colin, probably, I don't know, maybe the 8th to 10th pickoff move over to first, and again, none of these particularly close, just kind of a soft toss over to first. Tatum Levens not really entertaining the idea of stealing, although he may now. On an 0-2 count, we'll see. Here comes the pitch. That one swung on and poked to the right side, a slow roller. That'll be picked up by Gold, throw to first in time, and that will retire the side. So Levens leads it off with a walk, but nobody else can find a way to get on here. Still knotted up 0-0, heading into inning number 2. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey. Colin, we've kind of made it a point here that, again, this is the part of the season where you're going to start seeing a lot of turnover for some of these teams as RJ Schreck comes to the plate here for Katuitt. But, you know, it's interesting. You look at the give and take here. The Harwich Mariners over the last couple of days, they lose Nixon Acola, who got things started for them on opening day. They lose Evan Shaver, who currently leads the CCBL in strikeouts and about any other pitching category you could want. They also lose Aaron Holiday, who was effectively the team's closer through these first couple of weeks. In exchange, they get Max Codier from Virginia, they get Jordan Beck from Tennessee, and of course they get a new pitcher in Reisman. And this is where things really start to take shape here for the team you'll have going forward.
Certainly, and they're not the only team that's going through this.
As this ball is going to be taken as short, scooped up there by Preisner, who throws to first. Good dig there by his teammate in Carter Putz, one away.
Talk about knowing your teammates' tendencies. It's almost like Putz was ready for that ball to come in a little bit low. But back to your point, yeah, a lot of teams unfortunately have to deal with the fact that they'll lose guys to Team USA, they'll lose guys to the draft. It's a unique year. They just have to be ready for it. And I think both the coaching staff and front offices of these teams, they know what's at stake, what's been going on with their rosters. So they've been prepared for it. The question is, who of these newcomers for each teams are going to make the biggest impacts?
Absolutely, as John Rhodes steps to the plate here for Katuitt, a 1-0 count with Andrew Mosiello on the bump. And yeah, that's going to be the big question. Obviously, we'll have a close eye here on guys like Codier and Beck. We've already seen what guys like Preisner and Putz can bring to the lineup. And really, I mean, this is about it here for the Harwich Mariners. You look at some of the guys that could still be on the way. There are still a couple of them. Chris Newell is one of the big ones to note. But aside from that, I mean, this team basically has the squad that they'll be running through the rest of the season, of course, with a couple of guys that'll be leaving as the count now 2-1.
Yeah, and the draft could always change that. You know, some guys could go higher than they expect. Some could go lower and decide that they want to spend another year. So really going to be interesting to watch next weekend when that entry draft takes place.
Yep, absolutely. As this pitch misses and the count goes to 3-1 here on John Rhodes, trying to get a little one-out rally going here for Katuitt on a dim, overcast Friday evening. The 3-1 from Mosiello, that'll miss well outside. And another walk here issued. Still hasn't surrendered a hit yet, but 2 walks in this one for Katuitt.
Yeah, again, you have to wonder if it might be the conditions that are wreaking havoc on the pitchers trying to find the zone. We saw Ryan Long in the bottom half of the first inning struggle to find the plate. Sure enough, Mosiello battling those same conditions, but something that you just kind of have to adapt to as you go on in your start. You just got to find that extra grip any way you can.
Yep. The next man he'll face is River Town, who digs in from the left side. Town standing in ready for the first pitch. It's on the way, and that'll miss upstairs. And Colin, it looks like you have a point to make. I'll let you go ahead.
Back to my sentence when I said any way you can. I am not endorsing using spider tack. I just want to make that very clear.
Of course you're not.
It's a sensitive subject right now.
Oh, my gosh. Right now, here the count 1-0. Pitch on the way. That'll get in there for a strike and make it 1-1. I wanted to go back to a point you were making earlier. Let's talk a little bit about Team USA. So, of course, in 2019, the Harwich Mariners lost a couple of guys to Team USA. Most teams around the Cape lost anywhere between 1 and 4 guys. I think Hyannis was unfortunate enough to lose 5. I'll get to my point here after Mosiello's 1-1 pitch, which is swung on and taken up the right side. The hit and run was on. Nobody there to cover the bag, but stepping on it in time is Carter Putz. So Rhodes moves up to second. Rivertown does his job, and that could have been dangerous here for the Kettleers. That'll bring up Ben Rice. But to wrap all that up with the bow of this, Wareham just lost 10 guys to Team USA. That is unheard of.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a big challenge to overcome. And again, like I said before, obviously that coaching staff and that front office knew what they were getting into when they had those players on their roster. But the question is, now you got to kind of adapt and reintroduce a bunch of guys to this roster and kind of find out, plug and play, see who deserves what spot, who can really help you as a team. It's going to be a big challenge the next couple of days for the Gatemen.
Oh, absolutely. This pitch is swung on and missed here by Ben Rice, the catcher for Katuitt. We're talking about a Wareham team that right now is 3-4-2. It's not like all of those guys lifted them to a big early lead out there in the West. And again, with only 2 teams in the East and the West making the playoffs, as you mentioned, Colin, now they'll basically have to give the lineup a full facelift here. And probably a good portion of that starting rotation as well. As Mosiello looks the runner back to second, brings home the 0-1. That one in there for strike 2, and he's ahead of Ben Rice. looking for the final put out of the inning.
Yeah, who knows, though? Maybe the change is a good thing for the Gatemen. They need a new look on their roster. Perhaps these new guys coming in kind of help boost one of their weaknesses, whether it be hitting for contact, hitting for power, base running, whatever the case may be.
Yep, we'll find out over the coming weeks as a check swing, and Andrew Mosiello got him. Ben Rice goes down, half-hearted check swing, but it's all it takes, and the Mariners get out of the second. Another scoreless inning here, or at least a half an inning, as the Mariners will have the heart of the order due up when we come back. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here at White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. Colin, I just refreshed my computer to ensure that what I was seeing was correct. And let me just tell you, sometimes an optimistic viewpoint is all it takes. If you looked at Codball's account earlier today, they tweeted out that it seemed very unlikely that we would see baseball on the Cape today. Of course, we'll knock on some wood before we brag about this, but all 5 games across the Cape have gotten underway. And, of course, all 5 right now just trying to get to that 5-inning mark to make sure that this game does go official as we try to blast through these early innings.
Yeah, the thing is with the rain, it came and it's been here consistently, but it hasn't been heavy. Obviously, there was a ton of it overnight. I heard the lightning. I heard the lightning.
You heard the lightning.
Saw the thunder, heard the lightning. So I knew it was coming down hard, but since then it's just been kind of a gradual mist. Hopefully it stays that way, and hopefully it stays that way through the weekend because we also have to get through tomorrow, which also looks a bit gloomy to say the least.
Yep, taking a look across the rest of the weekend here is, again, no makeup games on the Cape this summer, so if you lose a game, you lose a game. That's already happened once to the M's this season. 8 of the 10 teams on the Cape have lost at least one game due to weather. It's the first pitch outside of the zone here. Jordan Beck will take a 1-0 count here against Ryan Long, and he will swing at this one, take it up the middle. This one's going to get through, and Beck will be aboard here with a lead-off single. Jordan Beck gets his first hit in a Harwich Mariners uniform, and that's got to feel good. Sometimes that's all it takes to get a guy to break out.
Yeah, he was so much fun to watch in the College World Series with Tennessee. Him and his teammate Drew Gilbert really lifted that Volunteer squad and just did more of the same there. Took one right up the middle for a base hit. A great job of finding a hole. He had a lot of space with the middle infielders kind of shading closer to the corners rather than second.
Of course, Drew Gilbert, one of those guys that will be participating in Team USA and will not be showing up here on the Cape until the very end of the season, if he does make it down here at all. Of course, we know a lot of times those guys awfully tired as, oh boy, here we go, another pickoff move over to first.
Yeah, awfully tired, and you also got to bank on the fact that they can stay healthy during that. We've seen, unfortunate cases where guys leave for Team USA and they don't exactly come back 100%.
Absolutely. Here's the ball swung on and taken to second. Chance for 2. They'll roll it the short way. No, they won't. That's going to get past and nobody covering. The left fielder not there to back up the play, and look at that. Ben Malgeri never stopped running, and that's going to put runners at second and third for the Mariners with nobody out.
Yeah, and they're lucky that Beck didn't make a break for home because for a second, Rice, the catcher, was also out of position, but luckily scrambled back to cover home. But, yeah, I don't love that throw from Luke Gold. It was not exactly the hardest hit ball. He had to range to his left. Should have taken the sure out at first, but he tried turning 2, and boy, did it backfire.
Well, Colin, for as rough as the defense has looked at times for the Harwich Mariners this season, there is one team that has had more errors and a lower fielding percentage, and that's the Cotuit Kettleers. You see it on display here, and now the question is, can the Harwich Mariners capitalize as all the infielders coming in just about on the grass, if not on the grass, as Press Kavanaugh takes strike 1.
So I believe you score that Malgieri reaches on a fielder's choice, and then an E4 on the throw at second base.
Yep, so not a hit, but also not an error on that second time around. It will be an error on the scoreboard for Katuitt, and as the pitch goes in the dirt, that's the other thing you can't afford if you're the Kettleers here. Good stop there by Rice, but anything back to the screen. I mean, you know how deep it is here at White House Field. From home plate to the back screen, I believe it's one of the widest distances in the league. You are not going to very often have a chance to get that ball home for a play. So Ryan Long going to have to be careful with how he approaches this here. The 1-1. Swung on, and Kavanaugh laces one into the gap in right center. That'll get down, and that will score 2 runs. It's a 2 RBI single for Press Kavanaugh, and the Mariners jump out to an early 2-0 lead.
Beautiful swing on that ball, just getting on top of it and lacing it out into right center field. With the rain out there, I don't even on a dry day, I don't think that ball's coming in quick enough to even have a shot at getting the speedy Ben Malgieri home at from second base. So great job of hitting. This is what the Mariners have been lacking the last couple of days are those big hits with runners in scoring position. Has got another throw over. Prez Kavanaugh, a guy who really could have used one of those, and it's great to see him contributing from that 7-hole.
Most definitely. Prez Kavanaugh on first, Aaron McKeith, and the catcher at home is another toss over to first here, Colin, and not 100% sure what the look is here. Kavanaugh does have plenty of speed, but again, throughout this game, we have seen Ryan Long awfully worried about the runner on first as the count goes here to 0-1. Of course, given the weather conditions and what they might be a little bit later, we have certainly seen some interesting, shall we call it, coaching tactics in the CCBL. That game against the Brewster Whitecaps back in 2019 certainly rings a bell as this ball fouled back to the screen. The count goes 0-2.
For Kavanaugh, by the way, 2 for 11 coming into that at-bat, so not exactly the strongest start. 4 strikeouts, but he had 2 RBIs, so he was able to double it with 1 swing of the bat.
Well, and that's probably a line out to gold if the infield is not playing on the infield grass, but with everybody in trying to cut the runner down at home on a ground ball, it's easy for that ball to sneak into the gap again in right center for a 2 RBI single. Kavanaugh gets thrown over on at first again. McKeithen has only seen 2 pitches here in 5 throws by the pitcher. This one in the dirt, runner going, and he will be in safely. He'll slide to make sure, but Press Kavanaugh will reach second base on a ball that just gets away from Rice behind the dish.
Yeah, Kavanaugh had a pair of steals coming into this game, so any ball in the dirt, you can imagine if he gets a good enough secondary, he's going. Didn't hesitate. Great job using his speed and getting up into scoring position with still nobody out.
Absolutely, and keep in mind also the man on deck is Max Codier, who will get his debut at bat here for the M's, but first Aaron McKeithen trying to play defensively with a 1-2 count. Time granted here. Of course, we won't see as many looks back to second likely here for Ryan Long. But the Mariners still with a runner in scoring position and nobody out here in the second inning. Long taking a lot of time looking in for the sign here. Comes set, looks the runner back to second, and delivers the 1-2. That's swung on and fouled away. Count stays where it is.
Good to see McKeithen back in the lineup. It's tough being a catcher on this Mariners team because you got 3 of them, and they're all really solid hitters. So we've seen kind of a rotation between him, Pat Winkle, and Tatum Levens, who's in as a leadoff hitter as a DH. It's great to have that depth, but it can be kind of tricky.
Of course, the catching position a little bit more open now. We'll get into that here as the 1-2 is on its way. And that'll miss outside to even the count at 2-2. Pat Winkle officially now released from the team. He will be getting drafted here in the coming weeks, which again is great for a guy like McKeithen who has had his he's done well when he's gotten his opportunities, but he will be able to get a little bit more playing time here with Winkle heading off the Cape here in a few days. Right now sticking around, I believe, with the team as stepping off the rubber is Ryan Long. He made his last start just a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, he's one of the nicest guys you can really meet in that dugout as well. Came in here. He was the young guy 2 years ago that Brock Wilkin is this year.
As the 2-2 will miss down and away. Yeah, and he said, you know, it really was kind of overnight. He showed up on the Cape again, and he went from being one of the young guys to being one of the vocal leaders.
And it's great to also see him do well after having that elbow surgery as well. So it's been a long couple of years for him. Hopefully it'll pay off come next weekend.
Speaking of which, here comes the payoff pitch from Ryan Long, and this one's going to be chopped to short. Should be an easy play for Ritter, who throws to first, and it's dug out on the corner by Baldwin. It does advance the runner up 90 feet, though, as the Mariners have Press Kavanaugh standing on third base here for Max Codier, and this will be our first look at the Virginia product, making his Harwich Mariners debut.
And getting a great RBI chance as well. This would be a huge insurance run early on if the Mariners can get it. Less than 2 outs, runner on third, fly ball will get it done. Cavaliers are going to bring their infield in and try to cut down Kavanaugh at the plate. All I can say is that'll be easier said than done with his speed.
Most definitely. Kavanaugh, especially with nobody holding him on, he can get a bigger secondary lead over there on third base. So see how the Mariners want to play this as the first pitch is on its way, and Codier will take strike one. Let's go ahead and get you a bit of a look here at Max Codier, the 5'11 sophomore from Virginia out of New Milford, Connecticut. And he was a pretty big part of this Virginia season this year, as he'll take this one in the dirt there. Good stop by Rice. Hit .508 in his junior year of high school, came out, got a big D1 spot in the ACC, and hit .257, 28 RBIs. Not a big power guy, no home runs for him in 2021, but again, 28 RBIs throughout the course of the season. And looking to bring some of those in, looking to bring in a run here in his first at bat in the Mariners uniform. Count is 1-1. The pitch to Codier. Swung on and chopped foul down the first base line. That'll make it 1-2.
Talking about making an impact on your collegiate career debut. First game he played for Virginia, 2 triples on opening day against Dartmouth. Can't ask for a much better start than that. I mean, 1 triple's rare enough. To get 2 in the same game probably hasn't happened too many times in Virginia Cavaliers history.
I would tend to agree. The 1-2. Codier fouls it off. Good job of hitting defensively. Has an impressive strikeout to walk ratio, 32-22. Obviously on the heavy side there with the strikeouts, but not bad. I mean, you see a lot of guys, especially guys that do put up big numbers, that tend to strike out a lot. Codier has really limited that, and he will look to stave off a strikeout here from Ryan Long. The 1-2. High and inside, count even at 2 apiece.
And you have to keep in mind, too, just kind of the way the game has been going over the last decade or two with the rise in strikeouts. A lot more guys changing their approaches to the plate. You see a rise in strikeouts. You see also a little bit of a dip in batting average. So I think some of that also just reflects the change of approach.
Big swing and a miss, and that will be a strikeout for Codier. Just the second out of the inning here for the Mariners, as they'll flip the book back to the top, and Tatum Levens will step up to bat.
Yeah, good job by Long battling back in that at-bat. Tied him up with a breaking ball down and in. Huge out. Now the Cavaliers can focus on just getting the force and limiting the damage to 2 in the second.
So again, Tatum Levens, who is not recorded an official at-bat today, reached on a walk back in the first inning, trying to drive in that insurance run. 2 runs on 2 hits here for the Mariners so far. The pitch. And that one right in the zone. Count will start off at 0-1. We've really seen Ryan Long, Collins, settle in, and he seems to be more comfortable attacking some of these hitters than he was earlier.
Yeah, he's done a nice job thus far. Keep in mind how big that error was. I mean, we're talking about maybe a 1-0 game had we not seen that error over at second.
As the 0-1 swung on and fouled away, that'll make it an 0-2 count.
Got him to hit a ground ball. They had been in the right position. Again, game of inches. Could have been a double play ball as well, but instead they try forcing the double play ball, get nobody out, and then the next batter rips one into right center field, and that's just kind of how the game is, but I've been impressed with Long thus far.
Here comes the 0-2. That one fouled away. Good job of fighting it off there by Levens, who again has done a really good job with the bat in his hand so far this season. Big part of the reason they're keeping his bat in the lineup is the DH, although Colin, you mentioned it is kind of rare to see the DH hitting there in the 1 spot.
It is, but again, when you have a guy that is able to put the ball in play and get on base as much as Levens, makes a lot of sense to put him there.
The 0-2, that'll miss outside. Another stop by Rice, and the count goes to 1-2. And that's the other thing. I know we mentioned it before. We'll mention it again. Anything that gets back to the screen is going to bring that run in from third, especially here at White House Field. So 1-2 the count. Another pitch on the way. And this one fouled off for the 4th consecutive time. Again, Levens just doing enough to get a little bit of the wood on it. That's all you have to do. Ryan Long has 3 strikeouts in this game already, including one of Max Codier to get the second out. Looking for another here as he delivers ball 2 in the dirt. Count even at 2-2.
Yeah, Long changing his approach a little bit, tried challenging Tatum Levens with the high fastball. Now looking low with the off speed, trying to get him to swing at one down in the dirt.
Time is granted here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the second. Harwich Mariners 2 runs on 2 hits. And number 2, Tatum Levens at the plate. So foul this one off. Deuces wild here, Colin, as we would say.
Yep, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Inning number 2. And 2 home in the inning.
Yep, 2 home in the inning. On 2 hits. The only number on the scoreboard that is not currently a 2, or a 0, of course, is the error count for the Cotuit Kettleers with 1. And that was a costly one. As the 2-2 is on its way, fouled back. And we will do it again. Another long AB here for Tatum Levens.
For number 2.
Yep. So Tatum Levens, again today's DH, on his way to Pitt out of the University of LaSalle. I think we've mentioned a couple of times as the 2-2 comes home and it's fouled away again. I knew he was going to give me another chance to extend that piece here. But again, LaSalle scrapping their baseball program. I think I heard you mention that earlier on in the season, but, you know, again, looking for a place to land. Going to Pitt, not a bad spot. And able to keep it in his home state. As he is from Langhorne, Pennsylvania. Time granted again. This is turning into one of the longest ABs we've seen this season, not only in terms of pitch count, but also in terms of raw time. Long comes set. Another 2-2. And he finally got him. Swing and a miss there by Tatum Levens, and that will end the second, but not before the Mariners strike for 2. It's a 2-0 lead for Harwich here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler, Henry, Colin, Casey, another inning of work coming up here for Andrew Mosiello, who has got to feel a little bit more comfortable here. He's got a couple runs of run support, a 2-0 lead, and now he can work on going out and defending it. Kind of an interesting debut for Mosiello and what it could do to or for his confidence coming into this game.
It certainly is. I mean, run support's always great to have, especially this early in the game. We've seen it be so important for the Mariners. Obviously, it's been tougher for them to come from behind and win, and we saw them do it against Chatham. But that Falmouth game was some great run support. Gave your starting pitcher a lot of confidence early on.
Yep, the 2 games you just mentioned, Harwich combined for 22 runs on 22 hits. Since then, it's been a little slower going, as stepping in for his first at-bat is Andy Garriola. He'll take the first pitch up and out. Count starts at 1-0. Of course, both of the base runners for the Kettleers in this game have come on walks. And just as I say that, it'll be a 2-0 count to start the AB here from Andrew Mosiello.
Yeah, this season, to it drawing 35 total as a team.
This one misses just inside, and it's a 3-0 count here. So you got to imagine Garriola will keep the bat on the shoulder here.
It's actually up to 37 now, so they're looking to make it 38, counting the 2 so far in this game.
3-0, in there for a called strike, no interest in offering. Now Garriola will take the bat off the shoulder and look to drive one here. Middle infielders playing back on the grass, respecting The hard-swinging Andy Garriola, the 3-1. Swung on and fouled away, and just like that, Mosiello's worked his way back into a full count.
Yeah, good job battling back. We've seen him lose batters early on in this game. Of course, the walk in each of the first 2 innings. Definitely be a big boost for his confidence if he's able to get a big out here and maybe get that control back.
Payoff pitch. Swung on and fouled away as lunging at that one was Garriola. We'll do it again as both teams doing a really good job of taking some defensive at-bats. 2 teams that have been a bit inconsistent offensively this year, and Katuitt, just like Harwich, trying to be a little bit more patient at the plate.
Even with the inconsistencies, though, Katuitt still comes into today leading the league in RBIs.
Absolutely. As this ball is going to be poked into center, that'll get down in front of Ben Malgiri, and it is a leadoff single here to start the third for the Cavaliers.
Garriola not really trying to get too much behind that swing. He just reached out to the outside part of the plate and slapped it out towards right center field. That's a great approach to have with a full count. All your team needs right now are base runners trailing by a couple this early on.
Yep, and we've seen Katuitt put up big runs. I will also mention, though, Colin, you mentioned they lead the league in RBIs. An 18-run performance will certainly help with that here in the first week of the season, but it seems like a couple of big outbursts for Katuitt. They have that explosive potential, as they did back in 2019 on the offensive side.
That's a great thing about the Cape League. They did that against YD, yet they find themselves behind against Harwich, who YD is 2-0 against this season.
And I will say, too, that is a dangerous spot to be in. As this pitch will miss outside, the count goes to 2-0. Being behind Harwich, knowing the kind of pieces they have in their bullpen, you just get the feeling when you look at what Harwich has to work with this year, if you can get it to the bullpen in about the 6th or 7th inning with a lead, that lead feels comfortable. But until the starter checks out of the game, of course, anything can happen. 2-0 pitch on the way. That one will get in there for a called strike, and the count goes to 2-1.
And this is even after losing Aaron Holiday. There are still some really good pieces in that Harwich bullpen. Owen Cody was outstanding out of the pen after following the great performance Trey Dombrowski had coming out of the bullpen as well. Dombrowski, I should say.
Yeah, Trey Dombrowski, I mean, talk about 10 consecutive outs, all via strikeout. And there are a couple of other really solid arms in that pen as well. Danny Wilkinson still working with a perfect ERA this season as Mosiello will miss low and outside. Count goes to 3-1. Of course, Mosiello, I mentioned before, from Temecula, California, an Oregon Duck here in his freshman year. Another one of the young guys here on the Cape, trying to battle his way back into this count. 3-1 pitch, and that one will miss low, so it's another walk issued here by Mosiello. And runners on first and second, nobody out for Katuitt. Good spot here to start the third.
Certainly is, especially with the top of the order coming up in Cole Cummings. Not surprising to see Coach Berger head out there and try to calm his pitcher down with 2 on and none away.
Yep, of course, more than likely, this is just a conversation. And that'll give us a chance to have a conversation here of our own, Colin. Kind of an interesting development here over the course of the last week. NCAA athletes, and I'll be interested to get the opinion of a couple of them, are now able to make money off of their likeness, their name, their image. And a couple of guys, including one of our very own, already taking advantage of that. Cade Beloso has already got himself a sponsorship, and it's just cool. It feels like this has been a long time coming here for the NCAA, but it's really great to see these kids able to kind of get their due.
It certainly is, and as far as where I come from the University of Massachusetts, I'm already seeing some of the bigger names at that school get sponsorships from local businesses. It's actually really cool to see these local businesses in the Amherst community rally around this huge piece of legislation, I should say. The question is, at this point, what are we going to see in terms of retroactive? Is Reggie Bush going to get his Heisman back? Are we going to see some of that? Is UMass going to get their 96 Final Four brought back?
I hate to say probably not.
Of course
but
not.
Probably not. I mean, it is interesting, though. You're talking about guys that, were icons in college, even the ones that didn't pan out in the NFL, guys like Johnny Manziel and Tim Tebow. How much money would they have made if these rules were in place? But everything onward and upward, at least for the time being here, is squaring around to bunt, laying one down right back to Mosiello, who turns and goes to third and cuts the runner down. Heads up play by Mosiello, who turns and fires a strike to get Andy Garriola. Cole Cummings, what would have been a sacrifice bunt, turns into a fielder's choice, and runners remain on first and second here with one down.
And Mosiello basically saying, all right, you want to give me a free out, go ahead. He turns and fires this one over to Brock Wilkin at third, who was right there ready and waiting. A little bit too much on that bunt from Cummings, and a good job by the Mariners recognizing the situation and making the smart play at third.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, as you mentioned, a lot of speed on that ball right back to Mosiello. So middle infielders back at double play depth. Corners, or rather just the third baseman playing in right now, trying to cut the run down or be there for a bunt as Brooks Baldwin swings through the first pitch that he sees and falls behind 0-1. Baldwin 0 for 0 today with a walk. Just to go back and kind of officially and finally close out that thought on Cade Beloso, as I mentioned. He's already got a promo code up on Twitter as this ball fouled back to the screen for Hot Rod's Creole Orders, which I believe is one of his very own family, his family's Hot Rods Creole.
It's awesome. It's great to see these student athletes, too, have a lot of fun with it. It seems like these social media campaigns going around involving students and using their name and likeness, it's been a real treat to see so much happen in the course of 24 hours.
Mosiello delivers the 0-2, swung on and missed. And that is going to be strikeout number 3 as Brooks Baldwin chased a pitch around his eyes and well off the plate. Not the prettiest looking swing there, but it gets the job done for Mosiello.
Yeah, Mosiello has looked really calm considering this dangerous part of the Katuitt order he's been facing. He drew the bunt from Cummings, made the right play at third, and with one out, he just goes right after Baldwin and gets a huge out number 2 with a dangerous hitter and Luke Gold stepping to the plate.
Yep, but a dangerous hitter he was able to set down on strikes back in the first inning. His first pitch will have to wait as he turns around and looks back to second. So again, Luke Gold 0 for 1 with a K today as he digs in from the right side. Harwich looking for one more out here in the top of the third, leading it 2-0. Pitch. And that will miss outside. Count goes to 1-0. Speaking of Twitter, Colin, you can follow us at Harwich Mariners, the newest members of the Blue Check Gang, as our team is now the 3rd verified Twitter account on the Cape. So be sure to go hit the team with a follow at Harwich Mariners.
Long overdue.
Long overdue indeed, as the 1-0 pitch is swung on and skied high in the air. This one will not have the distance. Tracking it in from right, or I should say tracking it out from second, rather, is Max Codier, and he gloves it for out number 3. So we will head to the home half of inning number 3. Preisner, Wilkin, and Putz due up when we come back. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, another inning of work coming up here for Ryan Long. The Mariners holding a 2-0 lead. And throughout a shout out to our Twitter account, again, newly verified at Harwich Mariners. You can also follow us, the entire broadcasting team. I am TBH Sports. Colin, I believe Colin Casey.
That would help if Mike was on. At Colin_Casey7.
Absolutely. And you can also follow the third member of our broadcast team at Real Tim Foley on Twitter. Be sure to go hit him with a follow.
Not the fake one.
Not the fake one. Not fake Tim Foley. That is Real Tim Foley, the one and only. And, yeah, sorry about the mic there, Colin. I saw you taking a drink. I thought I'd cover you, and I just kind of forgot to follow through there. Zach Preisner steps in, and he sees the first pitch in there for a strike.
Yeah, that's how it is for those wondering at home. We have a soundboard here in the booth, and it's kind of, there's some give and take when it comes to putting us back on. And occasionally, both of us, it's like communicating on a fly ball. Sometimes both of us will just kind of let it fall.
Yeah, sometimes it just drops in that Bermuda Triangle between our two seats. as it'll be an 0-2 count here on Zach Preisner. I think with all the work we do, it sounds a lot smoother than it is at times as Preisner takes ball one here, but there really are a lot of things that can go wrong on a daily basis up here in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, whether it's internet, whether it's cameras, we've seen it all through the first couple of weeks of this Cape League season.
As has pretty much every team across the Cape. As this one misses in the dirt, count goes to 2-2. At least at home, though, Colin, we have gotten to a point where we feel very confident both of the video and the audio should not have many streaming issues throughout the course of the season. On the road, however, it's all fair game as this one swung on, and this one will fall into the mitt there of Baldwin for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, Preisner jammed on that up and in pitch from Long. Location has certainly been a lot better since giving up that 2-run single to Prez Kavanaugh. And again, that was all set up due to an error, so it really shows the maturity of Long to kind of move past that and focus on the next batter at hand. And he's going to have to do that with the heart of the order due up for Harwich.
Yep, that next batter, as you mentioned, is Brock Wilkin. He did get Wilkin to strike out looking back in the first inning. Wilkin trying to be a little more cautious as a little bit of a slow motion windup there for Ryan Long. Hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, it looked like he kind of changed his tempo. It seemed like he'd been working a lot quicker, and here he goes now.
Yep. This one swung on, and Wilkin will put that into his own foot here as the count goes to 0-2. A little bit out of the Johnny Cueto school of pitching.
That was my first thought.
Minus the shimmy, of course. Did shout out a couple of members of our media team. A couple of new faces there as well, as Matt Fisher will be taking over photography duties throughout the rest of the season, and another slow motion windup here, waiting really forever. This is the slowest windup I've seen, and Brock Wilkin sends one high but not deep enough. I thought Wilkin was going to make him pay. Instead, it's about 20 feet short of the fence into the glove of Rhodes for out number 2.
Oh, and I'm sure we would have seen a nice little bat flip if he was able to get that one out. I thought it had the distance here off the bat, but got to keep in mind with the humid. Well, I guess it's not as humid now as it was earlier in the week, but that rain up there knocking that one down, and he really did just miss that one. Swung a little bit underneath it.
Yeah, good swing, just a little bit underneath as Carter Putz is due up next. He'll take a breaking ball over his head at 72. But, of course, wanted to mention, just to wrap up this thought, Matt Fisher taking over photography duties for us. And how about this, Colin? A new face, but not on the field. Former 2019 pitcher Jared Weatherby will be handling all of our graphics and some of our social media work moving forward. So good to have Jared Weatherby on the team, just not the same team that he was on back in 2019 as he moves from the bullpen to the media side of things.
Yeah, really cool to have him back in a different role with the Harwich Mariners. Of course, Fiskdale, Massachusetts native, so he's pretty local, left-handed reliever for the Elon Phoenix, and really good one at that. Wouldn't be surprised to see his name called next week.
1-1 in there for a called strike, yeah, and if you're wondering if whoever was formerly making our graphics just suddenly learned how to become a Photoshop master overnight, no, I did not. We just passed that along to someone a little more qualified. A very qualified bat at the plate in Carter Putz, who will take a ball down in the dirt, count even here at 2-2. And Ryan Long really starting to mix things up here with his windup as he is going fast and slow on guys. It's not something we saw through the first couple of innings, but he'll get a quick pitch in here on a 2-2. That one in the dirt, it'll fill the count.
And it really kind of exaggerates even more the differences he has between velocities. We saw his fastball sitting at 92. He's got a changeup as well that's about 10 miles an hour slower at 82. And then he's got that slow sweeping curveball in the low 70s.
Which, again, can really throw off a hitter. Here's the fastball, but it will not hit the zone well outside. And Carter Putz reaches on a 2-out walk to bring up Jordan Beck, who got his first CCBL hit, a single, and came around to score a run back in the second.
And Carter Putz has now reached base in all 6 of his Harwich Mariners games thus far, although he's looking to pick up a hit later on to make it a 6-game hitting streak as well.
Yep, and the next 3 guys due up all reached base their first time back in the second. So, yes, 2 outs, but an opportunity for some guys to keep the line moving here for the M's. This first pitch is that 72-mile-an-hour breaking ball. That'll get into the zone for 0-1. Ben Malgiri stands on deck, followed by Press Kavanaugh if they can get to him. And I think we've seen Long a little less concerned. Well, and just as I was going to say that, he tosses over to first. To be fair, I would have said that, but again, he didn't have anybody on base until Putz walked. And goes right back to his old ways of checking the runner. 0-1 right now, the count to Jordan Beck. Fastball delivered low and away. With all the different, I mean, you can call them gimmicks, you can call them things he's worked on his entire life, at least with the wind-up speed changing. But with 92 on his fastball and also 72 on the curveball, with location issues, you wonder how a guy like Ryan Long isn't at least playing at the D2 level, Colin.
Yeah, very interesting. But at this point, he's making a name for himself on the Cape. He had a decent first outing, 2 1/3 innings, gave up 2 runs, but neither of them were earned. This is a huge opportunity for some of these guys at these smaller colleges to put themselves on the map.
Next pitch on the way, the 1-1 misses inside. Count goes to 2-1. Again, the Mariners looking for a bit of a 2-out rally here. Haven't had a chance to really get too much into Jordan Beck's background. The batter at the plate here for the Harwich Mariners. Mentioned a 6'3" sophomore from Hazel Green, Alabama. So he'll leave this one up around eye level. Had a pretty good season at UT in 2021. And, of course, we mentioned a really exciting guy to watch, not only throughout the College World Series playoffs, but also throughout the SEC tournament. Guy that put up some really good numbers. He's got good opposite field power, too, one of the prime features, and he's got a lot of real estate out there right now, out in right center. 3-1, and that'll miss as well. So control issues here for Ryan Long becoming an issue. He's walked now, back-to-back batters, and the Mariners will have Ben Malgiri up to bat with 2 away and 2 on.
Yeah, obviously never good to walk back-to-back guys. It's even worse when you do it with 2 outs. Now you give the offense some life, and you bring a guy to the plate that has come up with some big hits for the Mariners early in this season.
Yep, Malgiri hit a ball to Luke Gold, who turned and tried to get the lead runner at second. Instead, he threw it into left field, and that allowed the Mariners to put runners at second and third with nobody out. Here, 2 away in the inning, and there's that lollipop breaking ball, 72 miles an hour, just inside. Count goes to 1-0. And Colin, it feels like these hitters are just a lot more confident the second time through the order. They're not as thrown, and ultimately nothing too overpowering for Ryan Long, who will now get a talking to from Mike Roberts.
Interesting that Roberts is the one who's going out there, not a pitching coach. But, yeah, second time through the order, it can be a huge advantage for the hitters. We've seen it really in Major League Baseball as well. A lot of guys get better when they face, or a lot of lineups get better when they face a pitcher a second time. The one exception usually is Jake DeGrom, who actually gets better against opposing hitters as he goes on.
Yeah, DeGrom, one of those rare exceptions to a lot of different rules, it seems, throughout the course of a season. But, yeah, a lengthy discussion right now. There is an arm up and warming out there in the Kettleer bullpen. But nobody that would be ready to come into a game at this point, Colin. So this may just be a stalling tactic as, again, you never know how much longer a guy like Ryan Long, especially in an early season game that does have ramifications, may go into a game.
And we're also, there's a rake being brought out to the mound, so you wonder if part of the reason he's having trouble is he's losing his footing coming off the rubber.
Yeah, it certainly could be. You wonder if that's the kind of thing that a guy like Roberts, a veteran, may have picked up on and asked to get taken care of. So now a little bit of grounds crew work being done here in the early part of this one. And Colin, for the first time in 2021, we've got the binoculars here at the ballpark. Of course, I don't have an incredible angle right now. I'm trying to look to see who may be warming up out there for Katuitt.
Believe it might be Jake Smith out of the U. Chapel Hill, North Carolina native, the right-hander. Again, I guessed against Bourne and was wrong, so gonna have to do a little bit better and fact check.
Yep, and we do have confirmation here.
I don't know. I think I might have been wrong.
The pitcher warming up.
TJ Brock, right?
Yep, pitcher warming up in the bullpen right now for Katuitt.
See, that's why we check these things.
Yep, it is TJ Brock. But again, a lot of work being done right now on the mound.
I need a new prescription bad. Didn't end up getting it before. I actually made a trip to my eye doctor a couple of days before I left for the Cape. But I figured, hey, this prescription's not too old. I should be okay to get at least through the summer.
See, now
I guess not.
I was on the opposite end of that. I went to the optometrist about a year ago, and first of all, they were very upset with me. My prescription was about 6 years out of date, when they flipped it back over to what I'm using now to what I was using then, I'm amazed I was able to get anything right on any broadcast anywhere in the country.
Tyler, if I went 6 years without getting my prescription updated, I would have driven my car off of Route 6 on the way down here.
We've had some close calls. As it looks like things are ready to go here. The pitcher's mound has been taken care of by our excellent grounds crew, and by grounds crew, of course, we mean the coaches here at White House Field, and that'll chase Mike Roberts back out to the dugout.
Yeah, a lot of dirt being laid down, really, especially in the landing area, and that they'll also give Long an opportunity to throw a couple warm-ups. That should certainly help, getting a lot of that dry dirt on there. Is that left leg is so important for a pitcher when you're trying to generate all that power, but it's equally as important when it comes to control.
Yep, so we'll see if it pays off for him. He walked Carter Putz, who stands on second. He walked Jordan Beck, who stands on first. He now faces Ben Malgiri, who reached on a fielder's choice, but after the error, came around to score back in the second inning. Mariners leading it 2-0. First pitch on the way, swung on and fouled away here by Ben Malgiri.
We've seen Ben really everywhere throughout the order. We saw him bat leadoff, saw him in that 8th spot. Now he's here batting 6th. He's a good guy to have to put basically anywhere you want in your lineup.
Yet Malgiri, one of those Northeastern Huskies, here on the Cape. The 1-1. Swung on, lifted high in the air, chased back into foul territory, and both the first baseman and right fielder will give up on it. So the count goes here to 1-2. Colin, there is one other point that I want to make. I don't know if we'll have time here. Again, a 1-2 count. Not sure if this will be the last pitch of the at-bat one way or the other. So we'll wait for it here. But again, a 1-2 count. Ryan Long looking to get out of the inning. Harwich trying to extend things with 2 aboard. The 1-2 will miss inside, and that'll give me a chance to bring this up. Yes, Harwich has had a couple of struggles here early on in the season. I'd also like to point out, though, 4 of their last 6 opponents have been division leaders. Talking about 2 games against Bourne, a game against Chatham, and a game against YD, who swapped back and forth for that Eastern Division lead. So they have had a brutal stretch to open the year. As this ball swung on by Malgiri, that'll have a chance to get through, and it will, just under the glove of gold. Runner takes off for home. That's going to score 1, and turning and heading for third base there is Jordan Beck. It's an RBI single for Ben Malgiri, and the Mariners extend their lead to 3-0. Runners at the corners, 2 away for Press Kavanaugh.
Malgiri continues to come up big in important spots for the Mariners. Remember, he had that lone RBI in the game here at White House Field against Bourne in that 4-1 loss. This time, 2 away, takes 1 the other way. And not only that, appears he has chased Ryan Long from this game.
Yep, absolutely. And that means we will likely see TJ Brock, who it looks like is trotting out from the bullpen. We'll still step away. When we come back, we'll get you a new look at Brock here in just a moment. You're watching the Mariners baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey. New pitcher coming into the game here is TJ Brock, who so far this season has made just the 1 appearance. He pitched just the 1 complete inning, and so far so good. One strikeout, 2 walks, has not allowed a single hit here in a very small sample size, and he'll look to try to keep runs off the board here. But a good situation for the Mariners, leading it by 3, runners at the corners, 2 out, and due up next will be Press Kavanaugh, who had a 2 RBI single to get the Mariners on the board back in the second.
Yeah, not an easy task for Brock to get out of this inning. There may be 2 outs, but Kavanaugh came up big in that second inning to bring home a couple of runs in a similar situation. He had 2 in scoring position, just 1 this time. But all things considered, looking at what happened for Ryan Long, he was cruising through 2 2/3 innings and then back-to-back walks. That's all it took to derail his outing. Ben Malgiri chases him with a single to right, and Now he's back in the dugout wondering what exactly happened, and he's in position to pick up a loss. So just really an example of how you can't give the hitters in this league even an inch because they're going to take a mile.
Yep, absolutely. You've got top-notch pitching, but you've also got top-notch hitting. And I'll tell you what, when one of those two things starts to go right for a team, you can see the tone of an entire game usually set throughout the first 4 or 5 innings. So far, offense has been the story for the Mariners, who again lead it 3-0. And it'll be Press Kavanaugh at the dish. Jordan Beck standing on third, Ben Malgiri on first. And really quickly, Colin, only one game going on in the CCBL yesterday. And it saw the, go figure, Bourne Braves pick up another win. They are still undefeated, 7-0-2 for Bourne coming into this one, starting to take a really good foothold out in the Western Division. First pitch on the way, in the dirt, low and inside, coming in at about 96. Good velocity on the fastball here for TJ Brock.
Yeah, things are actually looking good for Bourne right now as well. Just continuing to be a problem for every single opponent they play this season.
Well, and you can look at it this way as well. So YD is currently in first place in the Eastern Division. Harwich is currently sitting in last. The Mariners are only 2.5 games out. The difference is a lot steeper between Bourne at 7-0-2 and a team like Hyannis at 2-7. As this one swung on and taken up the hole, that'll get in between between the shortstop and the third baseman, and it's another RBI single for Press Kavanaugh. He has driven in 3 of the 4 Harwich runs today, and the Mariners lead it 4-0.
And he's done it hitting to all fields. First time around, rips one into right center for a hit. This time, just going the other way through that big gap on the left side of the infield. Just excellent contact situational hitting. Mariners looking a lot smarter at the plate compared to the last couple of games. They're going up there knowing what needs to be done and executing it to a T.
And we heard it from Coach E, too. I mean, he said these guys are going to figure it out. I mean, he had no doubt that this team would be able to pick it up offensively. It just takes some time for a lot of the guys, especially the new arrivals, to kind of settle in and adjust. As the 1-0, actually, I believe the first pitch of the at-bat, and it is a 1-0 count here on Aaron McKeithen, the Mariners catcher, who is 0 for 1 with a ground out. Runners on first and second here, 2 away in the inning. Harwich has already scratched 2 across. As TJ Brock trying to settle in here, brings home the next pitch. This one swung on and fouled back to the screen. Count goes to 1-1.
McKeithen, remember last weekend he had that big game in Falmouth. Launched a home run to left field, also came around to score 3 times. In fact, the big takeaway I had from that game was not the home run, but how well he ran the bases, being aggressive and picking his right moments to come in and make a play.
Yep, not something you typically see out of a catcher. Oftentimes you'll see a courtesy runner, or if they do leave the guy out there, you don't expect blazing speed from the guy that works behind the plate. But again, really good speed, and as you mentioned, really good heads-up base running by Aaron McKeithen. And really, I would say all of these Mariners, but that has actually kind of been an issue here for Harwich. Guys trying to either stretch something or being sent from third to the plate here in the early part of the season. One of the few dark spots for the M's. Here comes the 2-1. Swung on and missed. That one in the dirt. Aaron McKeithen evens the count at 2-2.
Yeah, looking at the team hitting stats so far early in this season. As far as stolen bases go, the Mariners they're tied for third coming into this game, but seen him make a lot of outs as well.
2-2 in there for a called strike 3, and that will end the inning, but not before 2 more come across for the M's. They double their lead. It's now 4-2 Mariners here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network, Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. Mariners fans earn a bachelor's or master's degree, complete a certificate, or take a single course through the Division of Continuing Education and Graduate Studies at Curry College. In-person and HyperFlex classes run days, evenings, and weekends in Milton and Plymouth. To learn more about programs in business, accounting, criminal justice, education, nursing, and more, visit curry.edu. And now for the next 3 innings of play-by-play, kicking it over to my broadcast partner, Colin Casey. Colin, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. 4-0 Harwich through 3 innings against Katuitt Kettleers in a rematch of the 2019 Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series. Of course, these two teams with completely different rosters. Well, I won't say completely, a couple of returnees here and there. But Andrew Mosiello out for his 4th inning of work. He will face the 4, 5, and 6 hitters, starting with R.J. Schreck, the DH out of Duke.
Yeah, and just looking up and down this lineup, as the first pitch is tipped foul here, I believe all of the returners are on the Harwich side. There are a decent number of them, but I'm not recognizing any of these names for the Katuitt Kettleers this season.
Yeah, me neither. I kind of looked through their roster and really didn't see any guys of note. And I'm sure a lot of them that were on that team are going to end up being drafted, as the 0-1 to Schreck is blown past at 89 for strike 2.
Well, Colin, I almost had an opportunity to continue covering Nick Gonzalez, working for the University of Northern Colorado, but then, of course, COVID came in and, well, did its thing.
The 0-2 misses high. Of course, Gonzalez drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates in the first round. I believe it was 9th overall, and he has quickly become one of the top prospects in that organization.
Well, if there's one organization that can use some help, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are basically fielding a AAA roster right now. And I don't say that lightly. This is I think, probably the worst Major League Baseball roster I've ever seen in my life.
Colorado might have a word. The 1-2 is ripped foul off to the right.
You may have a point.
And, of course, you might think at this point, though, for the Pirates, after trading Garrett Cole and getting a decent return for him, and he signs that lucrative deal with the New York Yankees, but he hasn't been the same pitcher since the MLB has cracked down on foreign substances. You wonder if they might have actually dodged a bullet, as there's a ground ball to third. Wilkin will backhand it. Tough play. The throw. Got him! What a throw by Brock Wilkin at third. A good stretch by Putz, and a highlight reel play for out number 1.
That was a strike. And I'll tell you what, even if Carter Putz had been chased off the bag by that throw, that thing was on a line right where the batter was running. They may have still gotten a tag nonetheless. So a great piece of defense there for Brock Wilkin. And that'll put one away, as you mentioned, for John Rhodes.
Rhodes out of Kentucky drew a walk in his first plate appearance in the second. Sure, he'd like to do a little bit more here with his team trailing by 4. Mosiello starts him off with a 69-mile-an-hour breaking ball for a strike.
Yeah, that a little slower even than what we're used to seeing out of Mosiello's curveball. That thing with no speed to it at all, but it fools him for strike 1.
Really slowing down the arm. The 0-1 cranks up the heat but misses low.
Yeah, 20-mile-an-hour difference there, so he'll crank it up to 89 for the fastball.
Got some action in the bullpen for Harwich. A right-hander is getting loose. So you wonder if pitch count might be a concern, as Mosiello gets Rhodes to foul one off to the right, and he's ahead 1-2.
Of course, right now, the aforementioned pitcher rocking the cream hoodie.
Huge fan of those, by the way.
Absolutely. Those are very clean. Have to see if we can't find a way to snag one ourselves this fall.
1-2, half-hearted swing, and Mosiello gets Rhodes swinging for out number 2. That is his 4th strikeout in 3 2/3.
Also, we realize if you're tuning into the broadcast here, more than likely you're tuning in from home. But if you do want some Harwich Mariners gear yourself and you come out to the ballpark at White House Field, be sure to stop by the merchandise stand and grab some fresh Harwich gear to rock throughout the course of the season.
Base is still empty, 2 outs, and in steps River Town. Left-hander watches strike 1 on the outside corner.
I know it's a minor point, obviously has nothing to do with its play. I would love to know what Rivertown's middle name is. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's got to be along the same line, right?
Line drive up the middle, base hit as Town squares that one up just past Mosiello. And the Kettleers have a 2-out base runner.
Actually getting confirmation, his first name is actually Josiah.
Makes a little bit more sense, I guess.
I do like what he's done here, though, as he finds his way on first base, and that'll bring up Ben Rice.
So here's Rice, left-hander who struck out swinging back in the second inning. Mosiello with a peek over at first as Town takes his lead. First pitch is in for a strike. Town yet to steal a bag this season. To be fair, there's only a second game with the Kettleers.
Yeah, still plenty of time. We'll see how much attention he garners from Mosiello over there on first.
In fact, this is the first time he's actually reached base. He went 0 for 4. There's a quick pickoff move at first. The tag a little late from Putz as Town is back with a dive.
Yeah, I mean, Town caught sleeping there. He was taking a step towards second when the throw came in. They probably get him, but again, the throw a little too high that time, and Putz happened to get the glove down, not in time.
Another throw over, and he's back once again. Looking at the league collectively in terms of batting average, it's a pretty big gap between the top team and the bottom. Bourne, of course, coming in at 283. Brewster way down at 187 as that one fouled off by Rice to the left to make it 0-2.
You know what, though? That's a Brewster team that was in dead last in the East just about 3 or 4 days ago that has climbed back. They're currently in second at 4-3-2, so pitching clearly getting the job done for the Whitecaps. I believe the only team in the East that the Mariners have not faced yet.
0-2 is popped foul out of play, and that will change, weather permitting, tomorrow as the Mariners host the Whitecaps on Saturday, and then they will go to Stony Brook, take on Brewster on the road, 5 o'clock on Sunday. So, At the very least, hopefully we get at least one of those games in.
Yeah, our first home and home of the year.
The 0-2 runner going, high pop-up, off to the left. Chasing it is McKeithen, but that one will make its way out of play.
Yeah, if you're going to have weather in the forecast, it's much better to have the game here at White House Field because, of course, Stony Brook does not have the lights, and Harwich has been using the lights ever since first pitch here with the overcast and still some mist if you, well, obviously probably can't see it at home, but with the lights that project upwards to help the players see the balls coming in, you can see some mist and some rain still coming down as it has been throughout the course of the afternoon.
The 0-2 from Mosiello is fouled off by Rice again.
Yep, Rice doing a good job of battling here. He has shortened up on the bat just a tad, and again, with an 0-2 count, he'll continue to be productive. Mosiello looking to put him away here. His strikeout count has been a little bit higher here in this game. Mosiello seems to be settling in nicely here on the Cape.
The Oregon Duck peaks at first. Town takes his lead. The 0-2. Breaking ball lined into right field for a base hit. Town heads to second. He's not slowing down. He's heading to third. In comes the throw from Beck. It's cut off, and there will be runners at the corners with 2 outs following back-to-back Katuitt singles.
Yep, good piece of 2-strike hitting here by Ben Rice, who again fell behind, battled back, and got the pitch that he wanted, drove it out to right field, and now a chance to get a run on the scoreboard here just 90 feet away for a guy who already has 1 hit today, and Andy Garriola.
He led off the third with a single, but was forced out at third following a failed sacrifice bunt attempt. Proved to be a huge out with 2 on and nobody out. Helped Mosiello make his way out of that dangerous third inning. Starts him off with a fastball, and it is popped up out of play.
Yeah, and you can tell he's trying to do something big there, a pretty sizable swing, but did not get the pitch he was looking for. That thing down and away, and he kind of had to adjust his arm angle at the last second. So Mosiello ahead here, 0-1. See if he can continue that streak here.
Garriola out of Old Dominion, a teammate of former Mariner Aaron Holiday, as he fouls off another one.
Yep, and of course, unfortunate to hear the preceding words to Aaron Holiday now as former Mariners. The M's will have to look for basically a new closer. I mean, again, through 4 appearances, Holiday was lights out here on the Cape and wasn't even tapped as one of those back end of the bullpen guys, but that's exactly what he became. Not giving up a single run through 4 appearances and picking up 2 saves.
The 0-2 pitch, lined in, that's through the right side of the infield for a base hit, and Katuitt is on the board as Town comes across to score. RBI single for Andy Garriola. It's now 4-1.
Yep, a trio of singles puts Katuitt on the board here, and that'll bring up the 9-hole hitter Ryan Ritter. But only 1 bag advanced by Ben Rice, who now stands as second. 1 runner in scoring position, but the tying run at the plate.
Ritter walked his first time up. He is a threat to go deep. He has once this season. 1 home run, 7 RBIs. Actually, correction, he is not. I was looking at Brett Roberts, another shortstop on this Katuitt roster. First pitch to Ritter misses just below his knees. Another guy who is a Kentucky Wildcat along with center fielder John Rhodes. We saw a couple of those in 2019, including a Rajanu, big power bat for the Kettleers. Had a home run, I believe might actually had 2 against Harwich in 2019. A lot of power in that Kettleers lineup as the 1-0 one-handed follow-through, a swing and a miss by Ritter.
Yep, and another one of those names that you kind of don't exactly remember, and then you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, Rajanu. Definitely a name that gave the Mariners some trouble back in 2019.
Part of that 2019 championship winning Katuitt team. The 1-1. Fastball from Mosiello misses up and away.
Colin, got a trivia question for you. Unfortunately, it's not of the baseball variety, which I know is kind of your sweet spot here. We'll see how you do. There are 9 Division I colleges that use the Wildcats as their mascot.
As a 2-1 is lined into left field, sinking quickly, but getting a good read on it is Prez Kavanaugh. He comes in to make the catch, and the side is retired. We'll get to that trivia question following the break. After 3.5 from White House Field, Harwich 4, Katuitt 1. You're watching Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Harwich, Massachusetts at White House Field, where the Mariners lead it 4-1 over the Katuitt Kettleers. And Tyler, you mentioned before the break a trivia question. I don't know if you fully got the question out, but I'll give you another opportunity here.
Yeah, so the most overused mascot in NCAA athletics, there are 9 NCAA Division I schools that have the Wildcat as their mascot. How many of those 9 can you name, Colin Casey?
All right, so the obvious one, of course, is Kentucky, as we had mentioned it before. I believe Kansas State are the Wildcats as well. The local one that I know is the University of New Hampshire, who is the Wildcats. I don't know if that's listed there. They are D1 for sports as well. I want to say Northwestern is Wildcats as well. I could be wrong.
Yes, Northwestern is the Wildcats.
That's 4.
You've already gotten one of the ones I didn't expect you to get, so kudos to you. Although thinking back on it, it is local. It makes sense.
Yeah. After that, I'm drawing blanks right now. I mean, I feel like I probably know them. It's just you got to kind of tick through all those schools and figure it out. So
I'll give you a chance here. You're missing 2 really, really, really big ones.
Yeah.
That are perennial NCAA tournament teams.
Oh, is Villanova one of them?
Villanova is the Wildcats.
Yep.
Yep. You're also missing a D1 Power 5 school played out in my region collegiately.
Oh, okay, Arizona.
Yep.
Of course.
There you go.
Yeah, now I feel dumb not naming those ones right off the bat.
It's okay. There are so many of them. It's easy to get overwhelmed.
Harwich has the 9-1 and 2 hitters. We'll get to the rest in a moment. Max Codier. First pitch swung on and fouled straight back. He struck out swinging in his first at-bat with Harwich.
I can give you a hint here. 2 of the best shooters in the NBA come from 2 smaller schools that are both the Wildcats.
It's a check swing and did not go. Davidson.
Yep.
Yep.
Stephen Curry.
This is a wild one. Is it Weber State?
It is Weber State.
With Damian Lillard? Yeah.
Yes, sir. From the Big Sky.
Got it.
And you basically clear the board here. I'm going to go ahead and give you California State because I don't think you're getting that.
Okay.
But congratulations, 8 of the 9. I've asked that trivia question on the air to 3 different people. You have done the best.
That makes me feel good. The 1-1 is just outside.
Of course, my favorite is I asked that same trivia question on a University of Northern Colorado broadcast, and somebody who went to the University of Northern Colorado neglected to name Weber State. who are in the Bears conference. So a bit of a rough look there.
2-1 swung on and missed. I mean, the only reason I know about Weber State is because of Damian Lillard.
Of course.
It's just one of those great stories coming out of a small school, lottery pick, outstanding career so far for the Portland Trailblazers. Has hit so many big shots, and now the question is, what will be the next chapter? A lot of question marks surrounding him this offseason as the 2-2 is fouled off to the left by Codier.
Yep, right now looking to the current chapter for Max Codier as he steps into, I guess, the next chapter of his story, playing here for the Harwich Mariners, coming off of a good season for the Cavaliers of Virginia. And again, trying to get acclimated. Important to remember, it's been a couple of weeks since he's played in a baseball game.
2-2, he swings and misses at that one. The ball bobbled a little bit. Rice stumbles, but is able to lob it down to first, and Codier strikes out for the second time, out number 1 of the bottom of the fourth.
Yep, and obviously no reason to be upset or concerned at all right now. You're talking about guys that are trying to settle in here. Jordan Beck, an 0 for 4 yesterday, or 2 days ago before the off day, comes back and he has reached base and scored 2 of the 4 Mariners runs here today. So always good to see how the guys settle in here, and Codier, again, expected to bring a lot, not only with his bat, but also with his glove. A very solid defensive player for the Emps.
Tatum Levens digs in for his third trip, walked and struck out thus far, and takes a big cut, comes up empty, 97 miles an hour from T.J. Brock.
Yeah, Brock reached back for a little something extra there. We'll see if he goes to it again, or if he wants to come home with the off speed as time is granted here to Tatum Levens. And if you're a believer in the 3 true outcomes of an at-bat, Levens just a home run away from completing that trio. Already a strikeout and a walk today.
Still looking for his first home run of the 2021 Cape League season as he lays off an off-speed high. Official line for Ryan Long as the book closed on him following the end of the third inning. 2 2/3, 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts as Levens watches another breaking ball in the outside corner.
Yep, that'll make it a 1-2 count. He falls behind a bit here, trying to battle his way back into the AB. His team leading it here by 3.
1-2 to the leadoff hitter. Swung on and missed, strike 3, as Brock has now struck out 3 consecutive batters dating back to the third inning. Bases stay empty, 2 away for Zach Preisner.
Yep, he is rolling here early on. Harwich really struggling to find their way on against him. And again, facing for the first time here Zach Preisner as he works his way through the order for the first time in his pitching appearance. Always kind of tough to judge a guy like Brock, too, that has such good numbers, but again, just the 1 inning of work.
Small sample size as he misses down and away, and came in, gave up that single to Prez Kavanaugh, who, of course, drove in a run, but that run not being charged to him, he settled down after and has looked really controlled thus far, especially given how hard he's been throwing. Some guys you see come in with 97, they can't locate it. That's not the case as Preisner hits one through the glove at short. Ritter can't come up with it. It trickles into left field, and it will be a 2-out error that puts Preisner on first and Brock Wilkin at the plate.
Yep, and again, you look back to these ABs. He gave up the single to Kavanaugh, a trio of strikeouts, and here, what should have been a ground out turns into an error and an opportunity for the Mariners with 2 away. This was the position they were in the third. They had their first 2 guys knocked out, and then Carter Putz was able to reach without a hit, came across the score, and the M's scratched 2 across in the inning.
That is the 19th error of the season for Cotuit in just their 10th game, as they are dead last in terms of fielding percentage, and they have the most errors on the Cape, so something that needs to be cleaned up for Mike Roberts' squad as Wilkin watches a 97-mile-an-hour fastball in for a called strike.
Yeah, and we mentioned Harwich not particularly far behind there, which is strange because, again, these were 2 of the better teams, obviously with different rosters, but defense typically something that both of these organizations really do pride themselves on.
The 0-1 fastball late strike called on the outside corner. Wilkin did not like that one. Preisner on first, as quick time called. As Brock just adjusting his shoelaces.
Yep, doing a little shoe maintenance there. Looking to avoid becoming a strikeout victim for the second time today. Again, he didn't miss one by much earlier, but that was against the starter in Ryan Long.
Brock comes set. The 0-2. Runner going, the pitch misses high, the throw is not in time. Great jump by Preisner, and he is into second base safely. He's got a steal.
Yep, and again, it's a good stolen base here this time for the Mariners, but a good throw probably gets him there. It had plenty of zip to it, but came on the wrong side of the bag, and by the time that tag is put down by Ritter, just not in time to get the runner to swipe second.
Second steal of the season for Preisner. RBI opportunity for Wilkin, the 1-2. Fastball grounded up the middle, diving play. It's off the glove of Gold and into center for a base hit. Preisner comes to score from second. 2-out RBI single for Wilkin. Lead back up to 4 for the Mariners. It's 5-1.
Colin, there have been offensive outbursts for Harwich this season, but this is really the first time we've seen them in the purest form of the word, manufacturing runs, finding ways to get guys on, get them around, and bring them home on a consistent basis. And it has looked good here for the M's. If they can figure this out throughout the season, this is going to be a scary team offensively.
Once again, Katuitt opportunity to get out of the inning. They can't do it, and it leads to a Mariners unearned run.
Yep, that one not being charged to TJ Brock. He is responsible for Wilkin, who stands on first.
Carter Putz watches the first pitch just outside. Putz. Putz 0 for 1. He's grounded out to end the first inning. Drew a walk, came around to score the Mariners' third run of the game in the third.
Yep, and one of the hottest bats on deck in Jordan Beck. Mariners in a good spot in the lineup here, trying to get Putz aboard.
1-0, misses up and in. Command starting to drift a little bit for TJ Brock.
Kind of what we saw out of Ryan Long as well, as he started off very, very well, but just started to fall behind later on. His confidence a bit shaken after giving up a run or two. And so far, I mean, it's still very early into his outing, but TJ Brock showing signs that he might be the next guy to do the same.
2-0 is just upstairs. 3-0 count now for Carter Putz, and like you said, Jordan Beck, who has had a great start to this game, waiting in the on-deck circle.
And to be fair to TJ Brock, he's not missing these pitches by much, but it's just enough.
Taking all the way is Putz, and he draws a 4-pitch, 2-out walk, so another 2-out base runner for the Mariners. That is 4 in a row. Pardon me, 3 in a row, as Jordan Beck digs in, looking to make it 4.
Yep, and now TJ Brock will turn around and do a little bit of work to the shoelaces there. But yeah, good things have happened today when Jordan Beck has come to the plate. He's reached base and scored runs twice today, and he has an opportunity for the first time in this one really to drive somebody in, as opposed to setting the table.
Beck singled, came around to score in the second. Drew a walk, came around to score in the third. Fastball, look out, comes up and in as Beck almost lost his helmet, ends up on his back, dusts himself off, and gets back to his feet.
Yeah, I think that one looked a little bit scarier than it may have been. Obviously, anything up around the head, you're trying to get out, but it looked like he left both of his feet before he even started to lean and just hit the deck.
Wilkin at second, Putz at first, 2 down, 1 home in the inning for Harwich. Brock's 1-0. Fastball called for a strike. He actually went with the changeup at the knees.
Yeah, I think the other big point here, Colin, how many times this year have we seen Harwich get guys on and strand them in scoring position? That has not been as big of an issue here for the M's in this game. Yes, they've stranded 4, but they've also brought runs across in 3 out of those 4 innings.
The 1-1. Ball in the dirt, gets away. Rice can't find it until both runners advance. Didn't get too far away, but when you have 2 aggressive runners in Wilkin and Putz out there, any opportunity, they're going to take it. Now there are 2 in scoring position for Harwich.
Yeah, that'll be ruled a wild pitch. And I don't know, Rice, obviously it's risky to send that ball down to second base when you've got the runner moving up to third, but he may have had a chance to get Carter Putz, who did. It was kind of more of a delay from Putz than it was for Brock Wilkin. Either way, runners on second and third, a golden opportunity here for Jordan Beck with a 2-1 count.
Looking to drive in his first run as a member of the Mariners. The 2-1. Takes a big cut at a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, but can only foul it straight back.
And that would have been the pitch to hit. Yes, a little bit outside, but again, right up around chest level. And the count goes now to 2-2. Dangerous part of the order due up with Ben Malgeri and Press Kavanaugh, who's already got 3 RBIs, due up next.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The pitch. Half-hearted swing and strike 3 as a little indecisiveness there from Beck. He's unable to make contact, and the inning ends unceremoniously, but not before. An RBI single for Brock Wilkin puts Harwich back up 4 runs. We're through 4 from White House Field. Harwich 5, Cotuit 1. You're watching Mariners Baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. To the 5th inning we go. A new pitcher for the Harwich Mariners, Danny Wilkinson, coming in to make his 2nd appearance of 2021, the Villanova Wildcat. Funny enough, as we've been talking about Wildcats earlier, went 2 innings in his first appearance, and he was really solid out of the pen. Allowed 3 hits, but he also struck out 3 and kept the bats scoreless. So Wilkinson takes over for Andrew Mosiello, who went 4 innings, giving up 4 hits. 1 run that was earned, 3 walks, and he struck out 4 in what has to be a step in the right direction for Mosiello.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And this could be a big outing here for Wilkinson. We're talking about who is going to be the guy that comes in and replaces the departing, as this first pitch is in there for a strike, the departing Aaron Holiday. And we were only really told 2 guys could be that dependable closer type guy. Wilkinson was one of them.
Second pitch to Cole Cummings misses low, 1-1.
Of course, the big other piece of that, the other guy who we were told kind of had that kind of stuff out of the bullpen was Brandon Walker, who has struggled to keep the ball inside the park this year.
Already surrendered 2 home runs as that ball sliced out of play by Cole Cummings, who digs in 0 for 2, reaching on a fielder's choice in the 3rd.
And he has got a nasty 12-6 curve.
Yes,
we've seen him use it a couple of times, but that thing has got a lot of movement.
There it is, 1-2, but he couldn't quite bring it down into the zone at 71. Count even 2-2.
I mean, he just missed with that, but you can see the amount of drop it has. It is easily the best, not only on this pitching staff, maybe one of the best 12-6 curves in the league.
Goes back to it, but misses in the same spot. Count is now full.
And that's one of those pitches you have to be careful with, because if you're going to put it up, you need it to be right around the letters. You bring it any lower than that, you're in danger territory.
Payoff pitch, fastball, and Cummings able to fight it off to stay alive. Let's take our first look around the Cape as Bourne. It's looking good for them to improve to what would be 8-0-2 on their season, or is it 7-0-2?
It's 8-0-2.
So there's a ground ball to short. Preisner comes up with it cleanly to throw onto his Notre Dame teammate Putz is in time for a quick out number 1.
No, I was just shaking my head at the idea that Bourne is just set to win
Gotcha.
Another game. They just don't lose this season.
Yeah, 6-2 that lead in Falmouth, bottom of the 8th. By the way, all 5 games at venues with lights, so certainly a huge plus for anyone who wants to get all 9 innings in. Out in Wareham, it is a 1-0 lead for the Gatemen over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Bottom of the 5th, Orleans with a 7-3 lead over Brewster. Showing Button, getting it down is Baldwin. Wilkinson fields it, fires onto first, and it's in time. He's able to snuff out the bid for a base hit as Baldwin is now 0 for 2. Quickly 2 down in the top of the 5th.
Yep, and good work there by Wilkinson. Always tough sometimes for a lefty to pick it up because he has to turn his body the opposite direction, but a good job there, quickly firing a strike to first for the out.
And the one last game to tell you about, still early, bottom of the third inning, out in Chatham, the Anglers hosting the YD Red Sox. That game is tied at 1.
I mean, again, Codball didn't seem to think that baseball was going to be played today, and so far, 4 games have already seen enough innings, except for 3 games out of the 5 have already seen enough innings across for them to be considered full games.
And this one well on its way to become the 4th, as so far so good. Inside out swing out to right field, falling quickly, but in to make the catch is Jordan Beck. He retires Luke Gold. It's a 1-2-3 top of the 5th inning for Danny Wilkinson and the Harwich Mariners. They lead it 5-1 over Cotuit. We're halfway home in this one. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Five 1 M's as we return to White House Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. Mariners looking to end a 3-game winless streak here at home, as they have already chased 2 Cotuit pitchers from the game through the first 4 innings. On in relief is Hamilton Oliver out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Baylor Bear 0-1 on the season, has made 2 appearances, started 1 game with an 8.10 ERA over 3 1/3 innings pitched. He has walked 2, struck out 1, giving up 3 earned, 4 total.
Yep, and Colin, I know you're a big fan of the splits. This is where Harwich has done some of their best work, against the West and at home. These seem to be the 2 factors that Harwich has really done a good job with, and they've got both of them here tonight and currently have a 4-run lead as we've hit the halfway mark. So looking to add some insurance runs onto that with a good part of the order due up. Malgiri, Kavanaugh, and McKeithen, 2 out of those 3 guys seeing the ball really well tonight.
Mariners, in terms of the West, they're undefeated against teams not named Bourne. Both their loss and tie against Western teams came against the Braves, who continue to really surprise, I think, a lot of people up and down the Cape. Obviously, it's been a while since Bourne has won a championship, 12 years to be exact, and they haven't exactly contended for one recently, but this is a really good roster that, if they can survive the mass exodus coming with the MLB draft, could be in really good shape to end that drought at 12 years. As in to kick off the inning, Ben Malgiri for the Mariners. He will face Oliver, and the first pitch is a breaking ball in at the knees for a called strike.
Well, and I wanted to talk about that because really you are looking at kind of a chess, not checkers type of year. It's a strange season here in the CCBL, just a 40-game season, and obviously the draft being pushed back to a little bit later.
Malgiri swings and pops one up to the left side of the infield. Oliver points at it. This one falling quickly. The wind blows it out to the right side of the infield as Baldwin, camped under it, makes the catch after it finally comes down for the first out of the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, that'll bring up Press Kavanaugh, who's got 3 RBIs today. But going back to my point here, you mentioned to me before this game started, this is a Bourne team that has the fewest draft-eligible guys of any other team on the Cape, and that may have been by design. They may have known coming into this year that they wanted to build some chemistry between their guys and try to kind of keep the same faces so far. And look, if that's the case, not only have they done a great job, they're 7-0-2. It sounds like they may be losing fewer guys than some of these other teams across the Cape as well.
First pitch to Kavanaugh in the dirt for a ball.
But bringing it back to the game at hand, let's talk about Press Kavanaugh, who is having himself a day. You mentioned he doubles his RBI total on the first AB of the afternoon, follows it up with another RBI single back in the third.
No RBI spot here, though, with the bases empty and one down, but he is ahead in the count 2-0, so you wonder if Cavaliers are taking a much more cautious approach to him. It's been a different pitcher, but catcher still the same, Rice, remembering the success he's had so far.
Yep, and that's another pitch outside of the zone. That'll make it a 3-0 count. Of course, he could always drive himself in if he could put one over the fence. So not something we've seen Press Kavanaugh do this year, but 3-0 I'm sure he's probably taking here.
He is, and it's over for a called strike.
Yep, and now the bat will come off that shoulder here. And we'll see what they want to offer him. Again, 3-1, you got to be careful. Very much a hitter's count, just trying to fill it up here for Hamilton Oliver.
Pitch to Kavanaugh, that's in there as well, so he's able to battle back. It's one thing that Katuitt pitchers have kind of struggled with, being able to battle back, especially with things out of their control, namely the two errors that have kind of derailed things for Katuitt. There's a ground ball up the middle. The wet grass will kill it. Gold fields it, throw onto first in time for the second out.
Yep, not a bad piece of hitting there, but again, pretty easy play for Gold, who slides over and fires a strike to first. And we'll see what happens now as Aaron McKeithen will take his third at bat against a third different pitcher.
McKeithen 0 for 2, grounded out to short in the second, struck out looking to end the third. Working from the windup is Hamilton Oliver, and he hits McKeithen with a breaking ball. And once again, Tyler, a two-out base runner for Harwich.
Yep, and they've done a good job with these so far. Talking about 2 away in the 4th inning. Zach Preisner reaches on an error. He came around to score. 2 away in the 3rd. Carter Putz and Jordan Beck got on board, came around to score. I mean, they've done a really good job in these spots, and typically this is where we've seen innings die for the Mariners. They get a 2-out runner on and then just can't find a way to move them around, much less in. But so far today, the M's looking good in these spots.
Quick throw onto first, back in time. Got a battle of the last 2 NCAA basketball champions between Baylor and UVA as the first pitch to Codier is in for a strike.
These are the kinds of stats I pay money to sit up here and hear, Colin. Because I never think about these things, and then all of a sudden here they are.
I had to think for a second. I was like, who won in 2020? And then I unfortunately remembered that there was no 2020 champion.
Yep.
0-1 misses down and outside for a ball. Maybe Gonzaga can claim it was them, and that this time they don't have to worry about choking in the finals.
Well, technically, I think the number 1 team in the country heading into that Final Four was actually Kansas.
That's right.
Of course, we saw a couple of Jayhawks a night ago, none here tonight, and I have not seen a single player in 2019 or in 2021 here from UMBC. Very random stat, but I'm just going to throw that out there.
You know what? I feel like I might have seen a name out there when I was looking at one of the rosters. I could be wrong, as a 1-1 misses outside, or maybe, it might have been one of the interns, actually. I think I remember hearing one of the interns from there when we were doing the media intern meeting over at Wilson Field, at Red Wilson Field, before opening day. I could be wrong, but I just remember hearing that name and like, oh yeah, team that beat Virginia. 2-1s in the dirt, and that will allow Aaron McKeithen to move up to second with a 3-1 count and 2 down.
And this has helped the Mariners as well, because you're also talking about, I mentioned, Wilkin able to get aboard, bring in the run, and Preisner, a wild pitch, moved him around to third. We've seen pass balls put guys in scoring position. And again, the Mariners, to their credit, have done a good job of capitalizing on those things throughout the course of the season.
Codier looking to reach base for the first time in his Mariners debut. Now he's got an RBI chance. Had one earlier, was unable to capitalize in the second inning. Oliver looks at second, now comes home. Line drive sliced foul just over the Mariners dugout. Look out down there. Hopefully everyone's all right.
You've got to keep your head on a swivel at all times here in the CCBL. Looks like the mist still falling here at White House. It's been kind of misting throughout the entire game, but at this point, if you're a player, you're probably a little wet, but you're used to it.
Yeah, it's been very consistent. There hasn't been any times where it's picked up. Hasn't really gone away either. Tatum Levens sits in the on-deck circle hoping to get a chance. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. McKeithen takes his lead off second. Codier waits. Oliver's 3-2. Breaking ball misses down and in for ball 4. And Max Codier able to reach base for the first time as a Harwich Mariner. And there'll be runners at first and second now with Levens coming to the plate in 2 down.
Yep, Levens 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, did reach on a walk back in the first inning, so he does have the patience, but he also has the pop in the bat. We've seen that throughout the course of the season, and now would be an excellent time for Levens to try to put one in the gap.
And Levens batting in the 7th hole on Wednesday. Singled in each of his first 2 at-bats, then Bourne decide, you know what, we're going to put you on base intentionally. See what he can do here. Oliver's first pitch, below the knees for a ball.
And there are some guys up and stretching right now out in that Katuitt pen. So far, nobody warming up. But we know how things can go with Mike Roberts. He is not known for giving his hurlers long leashes.
Levens, soon to be member of University of Pittsburgh, takes one down 2-0 the count.
And this is now the 3rd time, Colin, that we've seen a guy come in, dominate early, and then as soon as he gets a runner on base, really starts to lose that confidence. Not a lot of pitches in the zone here for Oliver.
A look at second, now the 2-0. There's a drive out towards right field. That ball carrying back to the wall. See you later. A 2-out, 3-run home run for Tatum Levens, his first as a member of the Harwich Mariners. Harwich now on top, 8-1.
Well, what did I say earlier, Colin? The 3 true outcomes of baseball. A walk in the first, a strikeout in the second and the fourth, and a home run here in the 5th. And that is going to put Harwich up big. A 3-run bomb, and the M's lead it 8-1.
Put a charge into that one. And again, 2-out runs scored. Just the name of the game so far in Katuitt. Just wishing that they could get out of these innings, what the game would look like if they were able to. They just haven't been able to get that big out, whether it be their pitchers or their defense.
And Colin, now 6 of the 8 Mariner runs scored here in this game have come with 2 outs. This is not something we've seen throughout the season.
Waved at and missed as Preisner swings and misses at the first pitch he sees.
I think Preisner wanted to get in on the home run fun there.
7th home run as a team for Harwich on the season, as Levens joins 5 other guys with 1. Half swing by Preisner. He went around, of course, Brock Wilkin, who sits in the on-deck circle, the only one who has multiple home runs this season. Oliver looking to bounce back and just limit the damage. That's been the name of the game so far as he spikes a curveball in 1 and 2.
Yep, does a good job of getting ahead there, and a good pitch trying to get Preisner to chase one down in the dirt, but Zach very patient up there at the dish. The Mariners, you never know. They might not be done yet here in this inning, but they've got to feel comfortable. A 7-run lead right now over the Kettleers.
1-2 in there for a called strike 3. Got him with the fastball looking. Second time that Preisner goes down on strikes, and the inning is over, but not before a 3-run blast over the right field fence by Tatum Levens. It is Harwich 8, Katuitt 1. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. back at White House Field, 8-1 the lead for Harwich, as they have just broken out once again on offense. We saw back-to-back 11-run games this past weekend, and just seems like, Tyler, once the weekend hits, the bats start going for Harwich.
Yeah, no, we'll have to get those split stats for you for another broadcast or maybe later on in this one. But yeah, I mean, this is where the Mariners have done some of their best work, and you know, you would normally feel good with a 7-run lead, but I think we all remember how close Falmouth came to coming back on the M. So a little bit of a different circumstance here, obviously playing at home, and you've got one of your best hurlers in Danny Wilkinson on the bump. He'll face off against R.J. Schreck here.
First pitch he sees is a towering fly ball out to shallow right field. Over to make the catch is Max Codier, and he does for out number 1.
Yep, quick out here for Wilkinson, and we've talked a lot about the 2-out hits and the 2-out runs that have come across here for the Mariners. But again, I mean, that is going to be the storyline of this game more than likely. You're talking about a team that really, really struggled in those spots. They're not stranding those runners anymore, at least not here in this one.
John Rhodes reached on a walk in the second, struck out swinging in the fourth. Wilkinson has been on cruise control since he's entered the game, retiring the first 4 batters he has faced, and he starts off Rhodes with that breaking ball for a called strike.
Speaking of teams that are starting to get it rolling offensively.
There's a big swing for strike 2.
How about this, Colin? The Orleans Firebirds up 13-3 on the Brewster Whitecaps. That is, of course, following their last outing that saw them beat this Katuitt team 12-4.
The 0-2 swung on and fouled straight back. And if this score holds for the Mariners, the big thing is the other 4 East teams will all be facing each other, so at the very least you gain ground on 2 of them, potentially 3 if you have a tie, as there's a fly ball out towards center field. On his horse, Malgeri can't quite make the catch with the full extension dive. Coming into second, the throw will be close, but not in time, as it's a stand-up double for John Rhodes. And Ben Malgeri gave it everything he had on that dive, but came up a couple of inches short.
Yeah, a really good effort out there in straightaway center. That ball was absolutely smoked as well. You get the feeling if that's a fastball and that same swing comes on it, it's probably over the wall. But fortunately, you know, less velocity in, less velocity out, and it's a runner in scoring position with 1 away here for Rivertown.
So Katuitt ends a streak of 5 straight batters retired, and here's Town, who reached on a single, came around to score the Cavaliers' only run in the 4th inning. First pitch, fastball up and away.
Yep, plenty of other games going on around the CCBL as well. How about this, Colin? Whitey and Chatham currently tied.
You're kidding.
I'm not. Believe it or not, Whitey is in a tie right now.
There's a swing and a miss.
And I guess my question, Colin, is if Whitey continues to have every result be a tie with fewer than 4 combined runs scored, are there going to be any fans in the stands by the end of the season out there at Red Wilson?
Yeah, this one at Veterans, a snoozer for those fans out in Chatham, but they'll get an opportunity at the very least to walk it off, as that pitch comes in and hits Rivertown right on the elbow as he trots on down to first base. Didn't seem to faze him 1 iota, so that's good news to see him shake that one off. And all of a sudden, Katuitt is 2 on and 1 away.
Yep, so far these Katuitt Cavaliers is, again, you mentioned 2 base runners here with 1 out. That'll bring up Ben Rice. One of only 2 teams in the league that has not fallen victim to the tie yet this season, as the Katuitt Cavaliers and Hyannis Harbor Hawks are the only 2 teams without a draw in 2019, or 2021, correction. I took myself back there for a second.
Something about those Barnstable teams. Runner going, first pitch is in for a strike. McKeithen throws down, not going to be in time. Wilkin held the tag on as both runners able to steal. So that'll put Rhodes at third and Town at second.
Yeah, kind of that delayed double steal there as Town waits around to see what the pop time is and whether or not there's anybody moving around or if the throw comes down, and then swipes second. So a good opportunity here. 1 away, runners in scoring position, 2 of them here for the Cavaliers.
It's a called strike to Rice. Wilkinson comes home with a breaking ball, misses down and away. Ben Rice, sending Dartmouth up in New Hampshire, but very local from Cohasset here in Massachusetts. Big RBI chance to try to chip away at this 7-run Mariners deficit, the 1-1. Fastball fouled straight back.
Really quickly here, one last score to give you an update on. The Wareham Gatemen currently up 1-0 on the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. That game in the top of the 7th. Hyannis trying to avoid starting their first 10 games 2-8.
Looking like another rough season so far for the Harbor Hawks, but changes are coming league-wide, and we'll see if that might be the boost they need to get back in the playoff picture. The 1-2, a check swing. He's able to put it in fair territory. Wilkinson can't quite pick it up, and a run will score. They'll rule that one an infield single, so credit an RBI for Rice, his second hit of the game, and Katuitt has gotten another run. It's 8-2.
Yep, and obviously no reason to panic here for the Harwich Mariners. Again, still a sizable 6-run lead, but Katuitt starting to cut into it, still one away in the inning, and another run to try to cut that deficit just 90 feet away.
Codier and Preisner moved to double play depth, trying to get out of the inning with just one run in, and Andy Garriola, who is 2 for 2 thus far with an RBI, looking to add to that total. Wilkinson comes set, and the first pitch is in there for a called strike.
And Colin, you really do wonder as some of these new arrivals come in, it feels like if Codier can produce offensively, this may be the infield that we get used to seeing throughout the year with Wilkin, Preisner, Putz, and Codier, of course. But the outfield still feels a little bit more up for grabs. A lot of good names thrown around for the final spot there.
0-1 swung on and missed for strike 2. Yeah, outfield and catcher, a lot of depth at that position for Harwich, and that's a great thing to have depth on this Cape League team, especially with potential changes coming, but you always have to factor in injuries. It's something that teams might forget about this year with all the coming and going of guys from Team USA in the draft. The 0-2 in there for a called strike 3 as Wilkinson fights back, strikes out Garriola looking. He can't believe it as he trots back to the dugout. 2 outs now in the top of the 6th, I should say.
And that feels like a big strikeout there for Wilkinson. Again, I mean, with 2 away now, you have less to worry about as a defense, just trying to get one more. But again, a guy that has been tabbed very highly by this coaching staff, looking for one more out to find his way out of the 6th.
First pitch to Ryan Ritter, check swing. He went around at that one in the dirt, 0-1.
And ever since we've seen that run come across to score, this is a Katuitt lineup that has just been overly eager to try to get at Danny Wilkinson. They've been swinging at pretty much everything, and he has been taking advantage.
Wilkinson trying to get him to chase another one in the dirt, but this time Ritter holds up.
Talking about that outfield and kind of how that's coming together, you're also talking about a unit that has Jordan Beck as an option. Cade Beloso and Nick Lucky not in the lineup today. Those are 2 other guys that can play out there as well. And Chris Newell from Virginia not here yet.
1-1 in there for a strike. 1-2, the teammate of Max Codier yet to arrive. He will certainly be one looking to make an impact with the Mariners. But again, it could be tough to break into that outfield with what we've seen out of production from the current guys. The 1-2, runner going, swing and a foul ball as off to the races was Ben Rice, but he will have to head back down to first base.
Yep, no such luck there. And again, with a 1-2 count, Wilkinson knows this is where he does some of his best work, as he has got options. Danny Wilkinson working with a fastball, a curveball, and a changeup. Solid 3-pitch guy with a 1.95 ERA coming into his collegiate career.
And we've seen him use all 3 pitches about the same. A lot of curveballs. We've seen a lot more changeups this inning than we did in the first inning that he pitched. 1-2 is jammed and flared out to center field. Malgeri's going to have to charge this one quickly, and it's going to fall and bring home a run. Rice into third. He will stop there. In to score is Rivertown. And Katuitt picks up another. It's 8-3.
And look at the way they're doing it. It's not like they're squaring anything up here on Danny Wilkinson. Rhodes looked good with that double, but since then a hit by pitch, an infield single, and a bloop single to bring in 2 of the 3 runs here for Katuitt. But if you're Harwich, you got to find a way to get out of this inning, as that lead still comfortable, but a little less so here at 8-3.
Cole Cummings steps in for the 4th time as the lineup card turns over. He is 0 for 3, but did reach on a fielder's choice, trying to lay down a bunt back in the 3rd inning, and he sends this one out to shallow left field. Preisner, having to move to his right, makes the catch, and the inning is over. So Katuitt gets a couple of runs back. They still trail the Harwich Mariners 8-3 at White House Field. We head to the home half of the sixth. You're watching Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Bottom of the sixth inning from White House Field, the Mariners, a 5-run lead, 8-3 over Katuitt. Fans, for sales and rentals of Caterpillar machinery, generators, and marine engines, visit MiltonCat.com, your area cat dealer. Milton Cat, Cape and Islands Caterpillar dealer, is proud to be a sponsor of today's game. Humbleton Oliver back out for his second inning of work. He had a bit of a shaky end to the fifth inning after getting the first two men out, courtesy of a 3-run home run from Tatum Levens. Tyler, how tough is it as a pitcher to put that inning behind you when your team is starting to claw its way back into the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult, but I'll tell you what, that thing that can give you that motivating kick in the backside, if you will, is the run support that you're starting to get. You know that if you hold the deficit where it is, there's always a chance that your team can claw back in. And, you know, again, I think it's huge. I think if you go through a quick 1-2-3 inning and you're back on the mound, it's a little bit harder to brush off, but maybe a little bit easier given the situation here.
First pitch to Brock Wilkin. Misses 1-0. Wilkin is 1 for 3. He had an RBI single in his last trip, which came in the fourth inning. At the time, making the score 5-1. And here he clubs one out to center field, catchable, as Rhodes will take a couple of steps in, and he has it for out number 1.
Yep, quick out here, and again, that'll also help the confidence of a guy like Oliver. You wonder, with the deficit where it is, probably not going to see Mike Roberts, you know, working on the same short leash policy that he had for his first couple of guys. But again, if Katuitt could scratch a couple of runs across, I wouldn't be surprised if we see somebody get up and warming out in the bullpen.
There is someone warming, a right-hander for Harwich. So we'll see if Wilkinson will be done after 2 innings of work, as breaking ball in for a called strike to Carter Putz, who has reached base twice, both via a walk, and he came around to score in the third. The 0-1 fouled off the ankle of Putz, and he immediately goes down in a heap, grabbing at that right leg. The umpire will hand the ball to Oliver to give him some time to walk it off. He is able to get back to his feet, picks up his bat, and hopefully just a little bit of a stinger.
Yeah, and obviously, anytime you take contact like that, you're hoping it's off the hand of the pitcher and you can take your pace over there at first, but that's kind of the insult to injury when you foul one off your own leg, ankle, or foot. You've got to get back in and battle again, and obviously hopeful that Carter Putz can just brush that off and get the Mariners going. I'm sure the M's would love a couple more insurance runs here if they can find them.
It's down in the count 0-2 as he digs back in. Oliver from the windup, the pitch. Breaking ball swung on and missed. I think he actually might have gotten a piece of it. It was held onto by Rice. He applies the tag anyway, so maybe it just hit the ground and he wanted to be sure. Regardless, 2 up, 2 down to begin the sixth, but Tyler, we know the danger is far from over based on how this game has gone.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got right now Jordan Beck at the plate, who again has reached twice, and this is where the Mariners, at least tonight, have done their best work. Again, Harwich looking to scratch something else across. They do lead it here 8-3, but always opportunities here to find more.
Not quite the deficit that Orleans has right now on Brewster, as the first pitch is down and out for a ball. Right now, Firebirds giving the Whitecaps the old Katuitt to YD treatment that we saw earlier in the year.
Would you call that a comfortable 13-run lead?
I would say at this point, yeah. The 1-0 is in for a strike to Jordan Beck.
And again, it seems like for Orleans, they either score 16 runs or they score 1 run. There really hasn't been a lot of in-between for them and for a couple other teams in the Cape.
1-1 misses down in the dirt. Of course, the Firebirds have already played the Mariners twice. They are 2-0 against Harwich. Of course, one game being rained out, the only home one so far for Harwich. There are 2 more on the schedule.
And we kind of joked around about how many home games there were early on, but after the big road trip, things kind of evening out. You look at the schedule for the rest of the year, I think the longest road trip for Harwich will be 3 games in a row, one time.
2-1 misses down and in.
But how about this, Colin? Another final here from our out-of-town scoreboard. The Bourne Braves do get the victory 6-3 over the Falmouth Commodores. Not only is that big because they go to 8-0-2, but Falmouth currently at 4-3-2, the second-place team in the West. They'll drop to 4-4-2.
The rich get richer. 3-1 is in for a strike, and Mariners are currently doing them a favor, leading Katuitt.
Absolutely. Well, the rich get richer. The poor may be about to get poorer. Wareham still leading Hyannis 1-0 that game, heading to the 8th.
Yeah, this would be a great opportunity for the Gatemen to tie Falmouth, as they're currently 2 points back of them, as Jordan Beck draws his second walk of his second game with the Mariners. He has now reached base 3 times, and once again, Mariners have a 2-out base runner.
Yeah, Jordan Beck looked almost a little bit too anxious in his first game. I think that led to some of the strikeouts. He got behind in the count early trying to rip the cover off the ball. He's been a lot more patient today, and as a result, he's already worked his way on base with 2 walks and a single to boot.
Here's Ben Malgieri. Reached down a fielder's choice and scored in the second. Singled and drove in a run in the third, and he popped out to first to begin last inning.
And more importantly, after YD and Chatham complete this half inning, every game will go final and officially be in the record book.
Called strike to Malgieri. Again from Northeastern, along with his teammate Cam Schlittler. Starting pitcher who most recently pitched on the road against YD, got roughed up a little bit, but seemed to have it figured out as he wrapped up that outing. Just got bit by the long ball. The 0-1 is lofted out towards right field, falling quickly, but over to make the running catch is Rivertown to end the inning. So the Mariners get another 2-out base runner. This time they can't do anything with it. We're through 6 from White House Field. Harwich 8, Katuitt 3. We'll be right back for the 7th right here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. The Mariners hold on to an 8-3 lead for Katuitt as we head to the 7th inning. Danny Wilkinson back on the mound for the Mariners for the final 3 innings of play-by-play. The man who threw a no-hitter at the age of 11, Tyler Henry.
Thank you so much, Colin. Did not think that was going to be in the tag, but of course, Yeah, that was, I would say I peaked a little early in my playing days. Those far behind me, but glad to be here on the call with you tonight, Colin, and glad to be calling a Harwich Mariners lead here as we head into the home stretch of this one. An 8-3 lead here for the M's, and another inning of work coming up here for Danny Wilkinson. Brooks Baldwin, Luke Gold, and R.J. Schreck, your three due up here for Cotuit, a team that has slowly but surely, Colin, tried to claw their way back in, and you know, they've picked up a couple of key runs. It looks like we have a pinch hitter checking in here for Schreck. It'll be Brett Roberts to lead things off. And correction, in for Baldwin.
Yeah, Roberts, a guy who does have some power. He has one on the season, one home run that is, and also has driven in 7 runs. So it seems like he's just kind of getting an off day here. But now Coach Roberts trying to give Brett Roberts an opportunity to make something happen with his team trailing by 5.
See if he can crack the code to Danny Wilkinson, who delivers a first pitch fastball in there for a called strike. Again, nothing too overpowering for the fastball of Wilkinson. 89 miles an hour on this one, as he will come from the windup. The lefty kicks and deals, swing and a miss, and he's out ahead here 0-2 on the pinch hitter, Brett Roberts. Roberts, as you mentioned, has done some good work, but again, he falls behind big here. And Wilkinson, wasting no time, delivers this pitch up around the eyes. Count goes to 1-2.
Of course, speaking of manager Mike Roberts, many fans knowing he is as that pitch misses in the dirt, he's the father of former Baltimore Orioles second baseman, former Major League All-Star Brian Roberts. Once led the league in stolen bases, a really quality switch-hitting second baseman and leadoff hitter for the Orioles for several years.
Yeah, a lot of bloodlines like that run through the CCBL, through coaches, through players, as this ball swung on and fouled off down the third base line. That'll keep the count here at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Of course, a lot of these guys, too, you look at the history, you look at some of the notes that you get, and whether it's baseball or whether it's another sport, a lot of these kids have families that are, very rich in athletic talent. So good to see a lot of these guys competing at the highest level and trying to work their way into higher draft stock potentially coming into the MLB draft. The 2-2 swung on and fouled back to the screen, and the count stays right where it is here on Brett Roberts.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of those guys who have relatives that have made it to the big show over the last 2 years that we've been on the call, of course not including 2020, but even already this year, Marquise Grissom Jr. had that start for Orleans.
As the 2-2 misses outside, that'll fill the count.
Of course, it didn't count, but Grissom Jr., of course, the son of Marquise Grissom Sr., and then going back to 2 years ago, Darren Baker, the son of Dusty Baker, for the Wareham Gatemen.
Payoff pitch misses inside. That'll be a walk issued here to Brett Roberts. So he falls behind 0-2, battles his way back, and reaches on a walk here. And the leadoff man is aboard for the Cotuit Cavaliers. Colin, you mentioned that, technically we didn't call any games in 2020, but to be fair, we also didn't miss a single broadcast in 2020 either, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
As the Cape Cod Baseball League bouncing back in a big, big way. Luke Gold will keep his spot in the lineup. No surprise there. The kind of guy that can change the story of the game with one swing of the bat. He'll hit from the right side. Wilkinson now working out of the stretch. Time will be granted, taking a little bit of time here to look in for the sign. And, of course, Gold would love nothing more than an opportunity here to try to drive in a couple of runs. Cotuit with some work to do here. But the potential certainly there is a big swing and a ball fouled away here by Gold.
That Gold, part of that really talented Boston College Eagles team that we'll see a lot of guys go drafted next week. Of course, Sal Fralick, who became a really quick rising talent for the Eagles and all of a sudden finds himself really high on a lot of scouts' draft boards. Cody Morris said another one who played for Bourne in 2019 that has been really impressive, the New Hampshire native. So going to be a really good draft coming out of Chestnut Hill.
Yep, no, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see where things stand there, and we will be sure to keep track as well, not only of the Mariners this year getting drafted, but also the Mariners getting drafted from that 2019 roster. Runner goes, throw down to second is a beauty, and once again, absolutely hosing the runner at second. Do not run on Aaron McKeithen. One away.
Yeah, Roberts really got a good jump on that one. I mean, it took a little while for Wilkinson to come home. It needed to be a perfect throw, and boy was it. McKeithen just putting it right on the money.
1-1 from Wilkinson. Fouled back to the screen here. Count goes 1-2 on Luke Gold. We've seen that a couple of times, Colin, and I'm telling you, when you eliminate the possibility of a guy feeling comfortable about trying to swipe second, that can really give you the advantage as a pitcher, and that's what McKeithen provides behind the plate. The 1-2. There's that 12-6 curve that'll miss right around the eyes. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, it reminds me of a certain catcher that played for the YD Red Sox back in the day. Ever heard of Buster Posey?
I believe I'm familiar. So that one will miss, and the count goes full.
It's part of that 2007 YD Red Sox team that won the CCBL championship.
Payoff pitch, swung on and taken up the left side, but right into the mid of Preisner, who will toss it back here, and that is the second out of the inning. Colin, I did want to bring something up. We talk about some of the things that are a little bit unique this season with the MLB draft taking place after the league has already gotten started as opposed to before it. There have been a couple of games this year. I have never seen as many scouts packed into the scouting areas trying to get some last-minute notes for their major league clubs before they potentially draft some of these guys.
Yeah, this is a really important 3 weeks or so for scouts. Great opportunity for all these prospects as the first pitch is in for a strike. Great opportunity for them to show guys, hey, I'm still that guy from 2 years ago despite COVID, or I'm still that guy despite an injury.
Or for some of these guys, I can be that guy. Some of these players really kind of stating their last case here. We brought that up quite a bit, but, the last opportunity to impress some of these scouts and get those notes back to the organizations as this ball is fouled away. Count goes to 1-2. It is always funny, though, seeing anywhere between 10 to 15 guys when a new pitcher comes into the game fumbling around in their bags for the radar guns. Wilkinson looking for one more strike, 2 away here in the inning, facing R.J. Schreck, who is 0 for 3. Make it 0 for 4. Caught him looking, and that will end the inning. So, once again, Danny Wilkinson will face the minimum. He gets out of the 7th, and Harwich up to bat in the home half. Coming up after this, it's 7th inning stretch time here at White House Field. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey bringing you this one. And oh, ye of little faith, the message to Cod Ball as YD and Chatham's game gets through the 5th inning, and all 5 games on the Cape this night will go final. Colin, of course, impending weather could have been an issue, but looking over at the lights right now, it's still coming down, but nothing too heavy, and baseball continues on here on the CCBL.
Yeah, this is great to see. Obviously, rainouts are so detrimental, especially this year when they won't be made up. Great to see the weather hold out. Great to see all 10 teams in action tonight get through the 5-inning threshold, and hopefully we can have that same magic tomorrow as another gloomy day on the horizon.
Yep, we'll see, of course, how that goes. Of course, the Harwich Mariners will be back here at home as the first pitch delivered by Hamilton Oliver is outside of the zone. And that pitch coming in to Press Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh, Aaron McKeithen, and Max Codier, your 3 due up here for the Mariners, who lead it 8-3 here in the bottom half of the 7th. And this ball is laced on the line. That's going to get down in fair territory. Kavanaugh's going to turn and head for 2. That ball tucks into the corner. Kavanaugh holds up at second, and it's a lead-off double for the Harwich Mariners. They are in business here with nobody out for Aaron McKeithen here in the 7th.
3rd hit of the game for Prez Kavanaugh. I mean, outstanding performance from him today. again, like we mentioned, he just had 2 hits coming into the game, and he has already passed his season total here against the Kettleers tonight. Just a good job of squaring that ball up, pulling it down the right field line. With his speed, that's an easy double. And this time, the Mariners not waiting until 2 outs.
Nope, absolutely not. Going right at him, and that's going to prompt Mike Roberts to come out and have a word with his pitcher. There is an arm up and warming out in the bullpen here for the Kitsuit Kettleers.
Not even going to bother guessing at
Nope.
this point. Not anymore.
Especially not now that we have the binoculars here on the Cape that are making their first appearance here in 2021. The guy up and warming out in the bullpen for the Kitsuit Kettleers is the right-hander Shadden Peavyhouse.
I thought it was him, and of course this is a time I didn't say it, so.
I'd say you got to be confident, but sometimes it just depends on the day. Right now, out on second base is Prez Kavanaugh getting grilled by 3 different Kitsuit Kettleers. The entire middle infield and the third baseman out there talking to him right now, as this is a lengthy conversation on the mound, and that'll be it. Mike Roberts turns around and heads back to the dugout. This is a feel-good game so far for the Mariners, especially if they can close it out with this 8-3 lead. And again, we've seen this throughout the season. Hits looking very similar on the scoreboard, 7-7 right now in that regard, but the Mariners with 8 runs compared to only 3 here for Kitsuit.
Yeah, you know, they've been quality hits in this game, which is important. They've gotten those hits with runners in scoring position. Obviously, they've gotten them with 2 outs as well. And they've gotten the power, the extra base hits that have made a difference.
And that's something they haven't done a ton of to this point in the year, as this first pitch is in there for a called strike to Aaron McKeithen. Another guy who's been seeing the ball well. McKeithen was hit by a pitch back in the 5th inning. He is officially 0 for 2 with a strikeout today. Here's the 0-1 to him. That'll miss down and away, count even at 1-1. And once again here, Colin, something the Mariners haven't had a ton of this season, a runner in scoring position with nobody out. And they've had that a couple of times today, as good as they've been with 2 away. They had a couple of guys in scoring position with no outs back in the 2nd inning, brought both of them around to score. Here comes the 1-1. This ball swung on and fouled away.
Yeah, the one game I can think of they had a lot of runners in scoring position with nobody out and didn't take advantage was that game against Orleans where they lost 2-1 on the road at Eldridge. They had doubles in each of the first 3 innings. 2 of them to lead off the inning weren't able to bring home any of those runs.
Yeah, talking about a game in which the Mariners stranded 7 base runners and scratched across just the 1 run. 1 ball, 2 strike, the count right now. Oliver brings home the pitch. That'll miss low, and the count goes here to 2-2 on McKeithen.
Yeah, McKeithen, guy who still has a lot of power despite being at the bottom of the order. Saw it in Falmouth, hit one, 50 feet over the left field fence. He's not afraid to square one up and put it well out of the ballpark.
Yep, miss still falling here at White House Field as this ball a little inside out swing. That'll foul it away. And the count will stay at 2-2. Orleans pouring it on here. They are now up 19-3 over the Brewster Whitecaps.
Speaking of pouring it on, it seems like the rain's getting a little bit heavier right now.
It does seem that way. Of course, at this point, if this game were to end early, it would be the 8-3 victory here for Harwich. And there may be a little bit less of a contest than there was out at Falmouth. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Colin. Right now, the bleachers starting to thin out a little bit, as fans that brought their umbrella to the ballpark sticking around, fans that did not so much. And a little kudos, a little shout out right now to our brand new photographer, Matt Fisher, who does not have an umbrella, but is still down there with the camera and the hoodie.
Couldn't get my guy, Matt, better weather to make his debut. That's too bad.
Yeah, what a game to start off, bringing your own expensive equipment from home, and you got rain coming down. But out there getting some shots. We'll be sure to have those up both on our social media and also on our team's Flickr page. We'll get that set up, and we'll tweet out a link where you can see all of Matt's photos throughout the course of the season. But for right now, a 3-2 count on Aaron McKeithen. Pitch on the way in the dirt. Good stop there by Rice, but that's going to put runners at first and second with nobody out here for Max Codier.
Yeah, Codier seems to be getting some quality appearances every time he steps to the plate. He led off in the 4th, but other than that, he's had a guy in scoring position, if I'm not mistaken, in each of his other 3 at-bats now. So at some point, he's bound to really get one in play and bring home a run, but Question is, will he be doing it against a new arm?
It looks like that is the case, as we do not typically see Mike Roberts make 2 trips to the mound and not pull the pitcher, and we will, in fact, have a call to the bullpen. So we'll step away. When we come back, we'll introduce you to the new pitcher here for the Kettleers. The Harwich Mariners lead it 8-3. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey. New pitcher coming into the game here will be Shadden Peavyhouse of Coastal Carolina, the teammate of Harwich Mariner Nick Lucky. And he will start off his day facing Max Codier, who again continues to face new and interesting arms here for the Katuitt Kettleers.
Yeah, they've certainly been using the bullpen a lot already. Their 4th arm in less than 7 innings. Not ideal. You always want to be efficient, and that's just not what's happened today for the Kettleers bullpen.
Certainly not, as Codier fouls the first pitch that he sees off.
It's the end of the 3rd quarter from, no, I'm sorry, it's the top of the 7th inning from Orleans. It's 19-3. They lead over Brewster.
Yeah,
that was a football game based on that score.
I was going to say, if you're taking a look at the scoreboard, Orleans is up by a couple of touchdowns there. My goodness. So 0-1 the count right now on Max Codier. Still looking for his first hit in the CCBL. He'll foul this one away the other side of things, and the count is 0-2.
If you remember, Tyler, in 2019, debuts were not kind to the Harwich Mariners, so I think anyone from 2019 would certainly take 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored in their first game.
Oh, most definitely. He has done a great job finding his way on base here and putting himself in the right position. Looking to avoid a 3rd strikeout, though, as he digs in with runners on 1st and 2nd, nobody out here in the home half of the 7th. Pitch on the way. This one swung on and chopped foul. Count will stay at 0-2. Again, unfortunately for Peavyhouse, his teammate not in the lineup, so we don't get to see one of those fun matchups. that do happen usually about every 3 or 4 games here on the Cape, I would say.
Not the only Chanticleer on this Katuitt lineup. Alaska Abney also out of Coastal Carolina.
As the 0-2 will miss up and out here. Count goes to 1-2. And of course, Coastal Carolina providing some talent to the Cape here in terms of players, but also 2 seasons ago producing somebody who had then, or I wouldn't say producing, they hired somebody out of the CCBL, former Bourne broadcaster making his way out and joining the Chants. As on a 1-2 pitch, Peavy House delivers outside. Samuel Wiederhaft, who again did play-by-play for the Bourne Braves, now the SID and primary broadcaster at Coastal Carolina, also doing some work for the Chicago Cubs AA team. So a quick shout out to Sam.
Of course, that Chanticleer's team actually won the 2016 National Championship.
One of those crazy runs. Always fun to see the teams that aren't the big usual suspects, the Vanderbilts of the world, in those big spots. Here comes the 2-2 from Peavy House. That'll miss up and out. Count goes full here. And again, another very patient at bat for Max Codier.
And if that's not enough, current World Golf #1, Dustin Johnson, an alum for the Chanticleers.
I forgot that he went there, but you are correct.
I'm kind of banking on that. Like 95% of me thinks I'm right.
No, you're right.
I feel like I could be wrong.
You are right. Payoff pitch, runners going. This ball chopped up the middle. It's off the hand, and that's going to deaden it enough that everyone's going to be safe. There, a good effort by Peavy House, but by putting his palm up, he may have actually slowed the ball enough that they didn't get an out, and now the bases are loaded for the guy who hit a 3-run home run his third time up in Tatum Levens.
Yeah, and anytime I see a pitcher reach out with his bare hand, I kind of just cringe a little bit because even if it's not hit all that hard, the risk of jamming a finger or you know, getting something bent back on your pitching hand is just so much, and in that case, it seemed like the better option was letting it go and seeing if it would have moved quick enough for one of his middle infielders to flip it onto second and at least get a force out.
Well, in best case scenario, now your pitching hand, the hand you're going to grip the baseball with, is going to be pretty sore here. So we'll see how he bounces back, facing off against Tatum Levens. His first pitch is in there for a strike. He appears to be no worse for wear, as the corner infielders will come in here trying to cut the rundown at home, middle infield at double play depth. 0-1 the count right now on Levens. 2 strikeouts, a 3-run home run, and a walk. It's been an eventful day to say the least here for the Mariners DH. He bats from the left side. Here comes the pitch. And that'll just miss off the plate. Momentarily gets by the catcher, but not nearly enough to advance the runner.
Just like the Mariners have been kind of ominously coming to the plate with runners in scoring position, starting to look a little ominous out in the outfield right now. White House Field, some fog rolling in.
Yep, trying to get through the conclusion of this one. Right now, a 1-1 count again. Bases loaded. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th. And Levens will take strike 2. Probably wishes he could have that one back. 83 miles an hour right there in the zone.
Levens and Prez Kavanaugh, difference makers in this game, providing 6 of the team's 8 runs batted in.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Shadden Peavy House comes set, brings home the pitch. And this one swung on and he'll have a chance to get through, and it will. Again, nobody covered the bag. Peavy House didn't come over, and it's going to be an RBI single here for Tatum Levens. His 4th RBI of the day.
Just the classic hit 'em where they ain't. Sneaking it right through the first baseman. It was a tough play for Gold to make, making the dive. And the problem with that is Roberts has to go all the way to the outfield grass to make that play. Pitcher Peavy House unable to get to first base in time, and just an infield RBI single. Another great job by Levens, who continues to swing a hot bat.
And I think Peavy House may have been caught napping a little bit there, because honestly, if he books it over to the bag, I think they get the out, but he did not, and the situation remains the same. Bases loaded now for Zach Preisner, who does not have an official hit today. He did reach on an error back in the 4th. 2 strikeouts and a pop out on the infield. Aside from that, Opportunity here for the Mariners to crack this one wide open. They do lead by 6 already. 9-3 our score here in the home half of inning number 7. But again, the bases loaded, nobody out for Zach Preisner. Pitch on the way. Preisner will foul this one back to the screen, and the count goes even at 1-1.
Right-hander Liam Simon getting loose for Harwich, so you wonder if he might be the pitcher of choice for the 8th. And at this rate, if the deficit stays the same, you might as well give him the 9th as well.
Yep. Situation continuing to become increasingly low pressure here. As a 1-1 pitch will come in now, and that's going to be swung on and fouled away. Back-to-back pitches fouled down here for Zach Preisner, who falls behind 1-2. And a dangerous part of the order coming up here for the M's. Brock Wilkin, Carter Putz, Jordan Beck, Ben Malgeri, Prez Kavanaugh. Honestly, you can go pretty much all the way through the lineup the way these guys have been hitting today. There is not a weak spot 1 through 9, and that's what the M's have been working towards building. They have found it this evening. Peavy House looking for a strikeout, the 1-2. And a good job of fighting that off there as Preisner not in a position to really put that one in play, but reaches out, tips it foul to keep his at-bat alive.
Don't look now, Tyler, but the Whitecaps got themselves a field goal.
Now only down 19-6. And that game is played at Orleans, so unlike the situation we saw when Harwich played Brewster at Stony Brook in that wild game that we keep referencing, we'll have to give all the listeners at home, I'm sure we have a different audience than in 2019, the reference on that game after this inning. But if Brewster does pull off the impossible, it would not be shortened. This pitch will miss down and away, count even here at 2-2.
If I remember correctly, the Mariners jumped out to an 11-0 lead.
They did.
And then were outscored 11-1 for the rest of the game, but that one run made the difference before the game was cut short due to a combination of darkness and weather.
Yep, darkness and I believe some fog rolling in, and that was really all it took. As the 2-2 pitch is on the way, swing and a miss, strike 3. Down on strikes is Zach Preisner for the first out of the inning. And it was weird, too, because obviously if that game is being played under the lights, you've got to think. You outscore a team 11-1, all of the momentum in your favor, you're going to find a way to come back and win that game. But when you don't have lights at your field, really nothing else the umpires can do. Got to prioritize the safety of the players, and that's what they did as Harwich slipped out of Stony Brook with a win.
And remember, that game was at home, so you had the home crowd behind you. And also, it really could have altered Brewster's season as they were fighting for that final playoff spot with the Mariners.
Yep, a Mariners team that would come back and knock out the number 1 and 2 seeds en route to the Cape League Championship Series. As this ball bounces away, Brock Wilkin now at the plate, an RBI single for him, a strikeout and 2 flyouts to center field. And Wilkin's been seeing the ball well today, but aside from the one hit, just keeps putting it high and deep to straightaway center field.
But he's got an opportunity with the bases loaded. Last time he came up with the bases loaded, boy, did he capitalize against Chatham.
He most certainly did. Driving a grand slam over the left field fence and deep into the tree line. Those types of heroics not required here, but Harwich, I'm sure, would love nonetheless to find a couple more insurance runs. 1-0 the count. Peavy House from the stretch brings home the pitch. That'll miss upstairs. Count goes to 2-0 here on the Mariners' third baseman.
Yeah, one thing you really can't do to Wilkin is fall behind 2-0. Most of the pitchers that have success against him get him into that 0-2 count, and then he has to start guessing whether he's getting an off-speed or a fastball. Now, who knows what the pitch is going to be from Peavy House, but Wilkin can sit on one.
That he can, and I'm sure he'll be swinging away here 2-0, and exactly what he does, puts it at the third baseman, opportunity for a double play, stepping off the bag, but on in time for the out, throwing back to first there is the shortstop Ritter, so they do eliminate one of the lead runners, but on the fielder's choice, a run comes across to score. Aaron McKeithen becomes the 10th run of the game, and for the third time this season, the Mariners have a double-digit number in the score column on the board.
It was an uncomfortable turn from Brett Roberts at second base. He caught it, but I don't think he had his foot on the bag instantly. And I think it really cost them a shot at getting two. That hesitation allowed Wilkin to get those couple extra steps and get to first base in time. So Wilkin picks up an RBI. It's really been him, Levens, and Kavanaugh just bringing home the runs.
Yep, it certainly has. And Harwich in a really good position here, up 10-3, a 7-run lead. If we're talking about teams with at least a touchdown advantage, Harwich is now among them. At the dish now is Putz. First pitch inside. That'll miss, and the count starts at 1-0. So starting off behind another hitter is Shadden Peavy House.
That now makes 8 different Mariners who have come around to score in this game. The only one who hasn't, Brock Wilkin.
Yep, and given his recent performances, I'm sure that will not come back on Wilkin in any way. As the 1-0 is fouled back here, count goes even at 1-1.
It's also a good sign. It means everyone in the lineup has reached base in this game.
Yep, everybody has been productive here. Really, one of the best 1 through 9 efforts I think we've seen out of this Mariners lineup, including those 2 games in which they had 11 runs. But somebody in one of those 2 games, I believe, 2 different people, obviously, were 0 for 5 or 0 for 6. Here's the 1-1. This one swung on and fouled off down the first base line. So the count goes here to 1-2 on Carter Putz.
If the score holds Cotuit, it would fall to 4-6 on the season. So might be 2 years since that championship, but maybe a little bit of a hangover for the Kettleers.
If you want to call it that, certainly. As the count here is 1-2 on Carter Putz, although you could say the same for the Harwich Mariners, who currently sit in the basement of the East. The 1-2. That'll miss upstairs. Count even at 2-2. Of course, the problem right now for Harwich, even if they do collect a victory, the Chatham Anglers currently leading the YD Red Sox. And under normal circumstances, I'd say it's too early to really be looking at the standings like this. But again, I mentioned we're already a quarter of the way into the season here with the shortened 40, now 39 game schedule after the rainout. 2-2, Peavy House brings home the pitch. This one fouled off. A good job of fighting here by Carter Putz.
Well, the good news about currently being in last place for the Mariners is you got to gain ground on everybody. So at the very least, you pick up a win here. You're not going to gain ground on the 3rd and 4th place teams, but like them, the whole division tightens up because everyone's going to gain 2 points on YD and Brewster if the scores hold.
Yeah, right now the East incredibly close anyway as the 2-2 misses up and out. It's a full count here. Yeah, YD trailing at 4-1 to Chatham. And you just get this funny feeling, Colin, that Brewster's probably not going to come back down 19-6. So we could be talking about a situation in which Harwich is a game and a half out of first place in last place in the East heading into tomorrow's game.
Really exciting start to this East Division.
Here comes the payoff pitch. Runners go, swing and a miss, strike 3. And that is going to be another K here as getting out of the inning is Shadden Peavy House. But not before the Mariners. Strike for 2 more. They take their lead back out to 7. 10-3. M's on top. When we come back to the 8th we go. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, new pitcher coming into the game here for the Harwich Mariners. It will be Liam Simon, who has already made his Cape League debut. Looked pretty good in his first outing here, Colin, and Well, he's got plenty of run support coming in here, trying to hold a 7-run lead. He will face John Rhodes, Rivertown, and Ben Rice, or at least those guys' spots in the lineup.
Yeah, this is actually his third game, so he's made a couple of appearances, and he's looked really good. 4 innings pitched, just the 1 earned run given up, struck out 6 batters. Great opportunity for him to improve those numbers with not a lot of pressure.
First pitch will be in there for a called strike, down and in. Harwich does already have an arm up and warming in the bullpen. It's Brandon Walker. So you wonder if he may be brought in to try to maybe boost his confidence a little bit in the 9th inning. Big swing and a miss again after a couple of rough outings to start. But we know the kind of stuff that he has, and you get the feeling he's another one of those guys. If Harwich can get him rolling, he certainly can have a big impact on the season down the stretch.
Yep, and with those guys leaving in the bullpen, opportunity opens up for him to make himself a household name.
0-2 pitch just misses here for Liam Simon. Again, the Notre Dame teammate. Starting to feel like a little bit of a Notre Dame vibe to this team. 4 different members of the Fighting Irish. As this ball fouled off, count goes here to 1-2, and 3 of them are out in the field now in Carter Putz, Zach Preisner, and the new pitcher Liam Simon.
Not to mention 2 of them likely to be drafted this upcoming weekend when Nico Cavadas and Joe Boyle.
Yep, 2 former Harwich Mariners. Swing and a miss. How about that?
Oh, sorry, Boyle actually was already drafted. I hate to cut you off there.
Yep, part of the, I believe, the Cincinnati Reds organization.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So John Rhodes down on strikes, swinging at a ball, I'd say eye level, maybe top of the helmet level. I mean, that thing was way up there, and he took a bad hack for the first out here. Of course, the other benefit here, Harwich has used just 3 pitchers, and Liam Simon really not messing around with the strike zone as he gets ahead of Rivertown. 0-1 the count. Pitch on the way, that'll miss. Count goes even here at 1-1.
It was another wild game in Bourne yesterday that we hadn't really talked about. The fact that their game got delayed a couple of hours before it got underway.
Seems like something about Bourne and those delays so far this season. It's kept things interesting for sure.
Hey, whatever works if it keeps winning your ball games.
Or at the very least, not losing them.
Yeah.
Simon working out of the windup here. The righty out of Notre Dame kicks and fires the 1-2. And that'll just miss off the plate. Count goes here to 2-2. Of
course, the Mariners will return back home tomorrow before heading out on the road to Brewster.
This one in the dirt. That'll fill the count here on Rivertown. Good things have happened when Town's been at the plate so far. He has reached in 2 of his 3 plate appearances, has come around to score 2 of the 3 runs today for the Kettleers. Pitch on the way, swing and a miss, and he got him. Back-to-back strikeouts here for Liam Simon. What a way to start off his second outing here on the Cape, and now he'll face Ben Rice, who has already struck out once today.
And he's also doing this against the part of the lineup that has given the Harwich Mariners issues in this game. Rhodes came in, reaching base twice, including a double and a run scored. Rivertown has scored twice in this game, and he just went through both of them in pretty lengthy at-bats, but won the battle in both of them. Now he looks to put down Ben Rice, who's 2 for 3 with an RBI.
Yep, first pitch here misses outside.
Actually, it won't be Ben Rice.
Yep, another pinch hitter. Coming up here, looks like stepping into the batter's box right now for the Cotuit Kettleers, getting his first at bat of the game here from the right side will be Matthew Donlin. And he'll take strike 1 to even the count at 1-1.
Yeah, Donlin out of Yukon, another Yukon catcher. 0 for 9 so far on the season, looking to find a spark.
Yep, teammate, of course, of our very own Pat Winkle. This one in the dirt will make it a 2-1 count. And that's another thing you don't see very often, but 2 guys from the same college at the same position, both making it all the way down here to the Cape.
Shows the depth on that Huskies team.
Next pitch, that'll miss low. Count goes to 3-1. Simon will have to battle his way back here against the new pinch hitter, Matthew Donlin. Second pinch hitter of the day takes a big cut at the 3-1 pitch and fills the count at 3-2. Harwich not quite in cruise control here, but in the top of the 8th. Just looking for 4 more outs to put the cap on this one. Simon has already retired the first 2 batters he's faced on strikeouts. The righty sets, kicks, and delivers. That'll miss in the dirt. That'll be his first walk here, and the first batter to reach against him is Matthew Donlin.
Yep, trying to go low on him. Couldn't quite get him to offer. Smart at bat there from Donlin. It is so hard to come off the bench and draw a walk like that, because you're always anxious to go up there and make something happen. But both pinch hitters that have come in from Katuitt have drawn walks.
Yep, kudos to Brett Roberts earlier in the game, and now Matthew Donlin who reaches. It'll be now Andy Garriola, who is 2 for 3, a couple of singles. Has a pretty sizable secondary lead, maybe something to keep an eye on over there, and that may be what the catcher Aaron McKeithen is going to come out and have a word with his pitcher about.
Just trying to get back on the same page. They were certainly on it first 2 batters, then Simon unable to get that payoff pitch to go, and Keithen just going out there telling him, hey, look, we're up 7 runs. You're doing great out here. Just go ahead and attack this guy and get us back in the dugout.
Yep, nothing to worry about. Even the worst case scenario, which would be a 2-run home run, would cut the lead down to 5. Harwich working with plenty of support, and as I mentioned before, just looking to get 4 more outs as he gets a wild swing and a miss here by Garriola, who's been seeing the ball pretty well.
Looks like Brandon Walker has begun to get loose as well for the Mariners, and it's going to be a good opportunity for him to get back into a rhythm should he come in for the 9th.
Yep, certainly would, as the 1-1 is low and outside. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike, with Ryan Ritter's spot in the lineup due up next. But a big at-bat here for Andy Garriola, as again, time not on the side here of the Katuitt Cavaliers. He'll send one sharply right at the second baseman, where it'll be scooped there by Codier, who tosses to first in time for the 3rd out of the inning. So Harwich 3 outs away from closing a victory here in this one, but first, an opportunity to score some insurance runs. Beck, Malgiri, and Kavanaugh due up when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Well, welcome back. A little bit sooner than we anticipated, Colin Casey. It appears this one is over.
Yeah, I don't know exactly whether it's weather-related or maybe that the Cavaliers conceded this game, it being a 7-run deficit. Regardless, Mariners back in the win column, a big one to get here at home, and really just a great offensive performance that really Katuitt had no answers for. So a surprising end to this one, but a good one if you're a Harwich Mariners fan.
Absolutely. A lot of good things happening here in this game, Colin. Again, we're here to put the cap on it right here and right now. We won't step away as we usually do. But you know what? Again, Harwich really did put the pieces together. Pitching only gives up the 3 runs. And, of course, anytime you put a 10 spot up on any team in the Cape, very good job. Timely hitting, 2-out hitting, the story here in this game for the Mariners.
Yeah, it certainly was. 2-out hitting, which is something that they didn't really get a whole lot of earlier in the year. They were able to get something going with 2 outs most of the time. They just weren't able to get that one hit that would push them across. But this time, they were able to. They've improved to 3-1-1 against West opponents. If they can start applying this to Eastern teams, it would certainly be appreciated. But now you go into a 2-game matchup against the Brewster Whitecaps, a team that is going to be coming off of a blowout loss to Orleans. Now's a great opportunity to pounce and turn this into a winning streak.
Yep, so final numbers look like this. Danny Wilkinson collects the win, the first of his season. I believe in this one the loss is going to go here to, is it Ryan Long or is it TJ Brock? Trying to get final confirmation on that.
No, loss goes to Long as he was the one who started out there, and Katuitt was never able to tie it from that point on. So Long picking up the loss for Cotuit as he falls to 0-1 on the season.
Yep, I believe so. Just wanted to confirm. For the Cotuit Cavaliers, 3 runs on 7 hits, 2 errors, not enough to get the victory today. Harwich, 10 runs on 9 hits, 0 errors. And again, we'll try to get a final confirmation, but either way, any way you want to slice it, the M's get the victory. They will be back here at White House Field to face the Brewster Whitecaps tomorrow, and we'll have that one for you here again on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network, starting at 5:30 p.m.